Hello, everyone. Sorry I've been gone for a while. The blackouts have been not good. We've had a couple rolling blackouts for a while, and I didn't want to have some streams get interrupted, and so I decided to take a little extra more time off, you know. So hopefully everything's going to be okay. But yeah, things have not been good since we got slammed. By Hurricane Fuck Ya Mama or whatever her name was. It's always a her, isn't it? Curious, isn't it? But I hope you all are well. I hope everybody's doing okay. I put out a community post earlier today, and I had some people on under there say that, you know, they got hit pretty bad, and their homes and their families aren't doing too great. So if you have the opportunity, please help somebody out. I haven't been able to find any mutual funds or anything. But I mean, if you hit me up on Twitter and you gotta go fund me and you were affected, I'd love to, you know, retweet that and everything if you need it. Things are pretty bad, especially if you live in one of those red states that don't like to take care of their peoples. I know you got slammed bad. But today, also, there's not gonna be a camera today, so it's gonna be a little bit of a change from normal. Okay. Oh, whoops. There you go. We're doing Peepo Shark today. I'm Peepo today. But I hope you all are doing well. So yeah, debate time. Okay. So over the last week or something, I was I'm not gonna say I'm okay. Over the last week or something, I don't know. I really haven't been liking the way that Kamala's been running her campaign. I'm gonna be honest with you. I got some gripes. I was thinking about making a video titled "Is Kamala throwing the election?" Right? Because let's just say it how it is. Sometimes we just gotta say it how it is. Kamala Harris is a relatively young woman, American politics wise, who's running against a multiple time convicted, multiple court case battling 78-year-old obese Italian man. And she's being out-campaigned by him in some states since she's been in the race. And I just don't think that should be a thing. That shouldn't be possible. I know some people are gonna run to her defense a little bit, you know, even in your heart, but that's not defensible. It's simply not, right? It's actually just not. I know she's been doing her cute little bus tours. That's cute. It's cute. They're cute. But you should not be getting out campaigned. She shouldn't be trying to do a light little 2016 Hillary type thing, unless in the October surprise is that, just like Hillary, she developed a life-threatening allergy towards campaigning in the Rust Belt. There is no reason why this woman should be getting out campaigned by Donald Trump in literally any state. None of them. I just don't think so. Personally, in my personal opinion, I just don't think that should be possible. I really don't. Hi from Western North Carolina. I hope you're doing okay over there. Please take care of yourself. Please. Make sure to take care of yourselves. But can I pull this up, the Vote Hub campaign tracker? VoteHub.us. I messaged. Huh? Did they take down Vote Hub for a second? Oh nah. No, I just typed it in wrong, I guess. I messaged some of the people who are involved in Vote Hub, and I was asking for a raw rally and campaign event counter, because they keep track. They have a campaign event tracker, right? But not a raw number one. One of the people who were involved posted the raw number, but this boy tweets every second of every day. So I'm not sure if I can pull it up The debate will start here in a second. I'm watching it. Don't worry. I'm watching. There's nothing to go over at the moment. It's just a bunch of people yapping. And none of the people who we care about yapping yet. But that might start here in a moment. And by that, I mean, I think it's starting literally right now.
CBS News vice presidential debate on CBS.
Chat.
On other networks here in the U.S.
It's the debate.
The world. We have a consequential
We're here.
night ahead, and our focus is the issues that matter to you.
Coach WALZ versus the pillow puncher.
Candidates. Minnesota's Democratic Governor Tim Walz.
Thunder Cheeks, thanks for the prime. Ghost of Avalon, thanks for the 38 months. I really appreciate you.
First time.
Hopefully the last.
I'm Margaret Brennan.
They touched.
A thoughtful and civil debate.
They touched.
These are the rules that both campaigns have agreed to.
WALZ has got to wash that hand now.
At one candidate who will have 2 minutes to respond. The other candidate will be allowed 2 minutes for rebuttal. Then each candidate will get another minute to make further points.
We know that this debate's going to be worse because they said that they weren't going to be doing any.
The primary role of the moderators is to facilitate the debate between the candidates, enforce the rules, and provide the candidates with the opportunity to fact-check claims made by each other.
They said they weren't going to be doing any fact-checking themselves. Garbage. So this is going to be a worse debate no matter what. What happened to your camera? Don't worry about it.
The stage.
The hurricane took it.
Governor, Senator, thank you for joining us.
Bro, move.
Let's get started. Tonight, our country is facing several unfolding crises. The Middle East is on the brink of war. Americans are suffering from the catastrophic impact of Hurricane Helene. And now a labor strike as 25,000 dock workers from Maine to Texas are picketing. We're going to begin tonight with the Middle East.
Who's tweaking over there in their, like,
Thank you, Nora.
pedestal? What's going on?
Today, Iran launched its largest attack yet on Israel, but that attack failed thanks to joint U.S. and Israeli defensive action. President Biden has deployed more than 40,000 U.S. military personnel and assets to that region over the past year to try to prevent a regional war. Iran is weakened, but the U.S. still considers it the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world, and it has drastically reduced the time it would take to develop a nuclear weapon. It is down now to 1 or 2 weeks' time.
Man, it's almost like we shouldn't have hopped out of the Iran nuclear deal that literally stopped them from doing that. That's crazy, isn't it?
Or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel on Iran? You have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you.
Why are you asking? Why are you asking the vice president this
Let's
question?
keep in mind where this started. October 7th, Hamas terrorists.
What is this question?
1,400 Israelis and took prisoners. Israel's ability.
Do you want to nuke Iran? That's the first question of the night.
Back, fundamental, and ending the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, but the expansion of Israel and its proxies is an absolute fundamental necessity for the United States to have the steady leadership there. You saw it experienced today, where along with our Israeli partners and our coalition, able to stop.
VANCE is still wearing the eyeliner. It's crazy.
But what's fundamental here is that steady leadership is going to matter. It's clear, and the world saw it on that debate stage a few weeks ago. A nearly 80-year-old Donald Trump talking about crowd sizes is not what we need in this moment. But it's not just that. It's those that were closest to Donald Trump that understand how dangerous he is when the world is this dangerous. His chief of staff, John Kelly, said that he was the most flawed human being he'd ever met. And both of his secretaries of defense and his national security advisors said he should be nowhere near the White House. Now, the person closest to them, Donald Trump, said he's unfit for the highest office. That was Senator Vance. What we've seen of Vice President Harris is we've seen steady leadership.
These are good hits.
We've seen a calmness that is able to
Vance is, all you need to do is just quote Vance, and he's going to have to defend himself the whole time.
That our allies matter.
We know he practiced for it, but we're going to see how what he does.
Trump turn towards Vladimir Putin, turn towards North Korea. When we start to see that type of fickleness around holding the coalitions together, we will stay committed. And as the vice president said today we will protect our forces and our allied forces, and there will be consequences.
Governor, your time is up. Senator Vance, the same question. Would you support or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel on Iran? You have 2 minutes.
So, Margaret, I want to answer the question. First of all, thanks, Governor. Thanks to CBS for hosting the debate. And thanks, most importantly, to the American people who are watching this evening and caring enough about this country to pay attention to this vice presidential debate.
He's going to say he wants to nuke all of the Middle East, isn't he?
A lot of Americans don't know who either one of us are. I was raised in a working class family. My mother required food assistance.
Wait, this shit is so funny. He actually started his answer the same way Harris did.
Me in part because my own mother struggled with addiction for a big chunk of my early life. I went to college.
Senator Vance, do you want to nuke the Middle East?
The Marine Corps and
I grew up as a working class kid.
Here, asking to be your vice president with extraordinary gratitude for this country. For the
what is this country, man?
Possible for me to live my dreams, and most importantly, I know that a lot of you are worried about the chaos in the world and the feeling that the American dream is unattainable. I want to try to convince you tonight over the next 90 minutes that if we get better leadership,
not the 3.5
back in the White House
MLA format essay debate style.
Once again. Now, to answer this particular question, we have to remember that as much as Governor WALZ just accused Donald Trump of being an agent of chaos, Donald Trump actually delivered stability in the world, and he did it by establishing effective deterrence.
Huge L.
Iran,
huge not true.
Received over $100 billion in unfrozen assets thanks to the Kamala Harris administration. What do they use that money for? They use it to buy weapons that they're now launching against our allies, and God forbid, potentially launching against the United States as well. Donald Trump recognized that for
this WALZ could really hit this back by, because if some people don't know this, a lot of people don't know this actually, but the unfreezing of funds from Iran that we took and froze was actually a Trump policy.
Question, look, it is up to Israel what they think they
Trump started that.
Keep their country safe, and we should support our allies wherever they are when they're fighting the bad guys. I think that's the right approach to take with the Israel question.
Okay, so none of them are going to say we will not preemptively nuke a country.
We'll sometimes hear a revisionist history, but when Donald Trump was in office, it was Donald Trump who we had a coalition of nations that had boxed Iran's nuclear program in, the inability to advance it. Donald Trump pulled that program and put nothing else in its place. So Iran is closer to
I feel like it's the first time in years I've heard somebody
leadership
defend the Iran nuclear deal.
An American aircraft in international airspace.
Oh my goodness.
Donald Trump tweeted, because that's the standard diplomacy of Donald Trump. And when
it's like opening a window after slowly dying of carbon monoxide poisoning.
And they received traumatic brain injuries. Donald
headaches.
Trump wrote it off as headaches. Look, our allies understand that Donald Trump is fickle.
That's a good hit.
Go to whoever has the most flattery or where it makes sense to him. Steady leadership like you witnessed today, like you witnessed in April. Both Iranian attacks were repelled. Our coalition is strong, and we need the steady leadership that Kamala Harris is providing.
Senator Vance, the U.S. did have a diplomatic deal with Iran to temporarily pause parts of its nuclear program, and President Trump did exit that deal.
Is this their way of like getting around fact checking?
Must now make a diplomatic deal with Iran because the consequences are impossible. He's
so fucking stupid.
Well, first of all,
he ruins everything because he thinks it's cringe and Obama did it. But then he realizes how good it actually is and he wants to put it back in.
Close to a nuclear weapon today
and make
Governor
and take credit for it.
Donald Trump, who has been the vice president for the last 3.5 years, and the answer is your running mate, not mine.
Okay, but nobody hears the president.
Consistently made the world more secure. Now we talk about what the sequence of events that led us to where we are right now, and you can't ignore October the 7th, which I appreciate Governor WALZ bringing up. But when did Iran and Hamas and their proxies attack Israel? It was during the administration of Kamala Harris. So Governor WALZ can criticize
Kamala Harris does not have an administration.
But effective, smart diplomacy and peace through strength is how you bring stability back to a very broken world. Donald Trump has already done it once before. Ask yourself at home, when was the last time, I'm 40 years old, when was the last time that an American president didn't have a major conflict break out? The only answer is during the 4 years that Donald Trump was president.
Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to.
The Kurds?
Margaret, thank you. Let's turn
what are you talking about?
Hurricane Helene. The storm could become one of the deadliest on record. More than 160 people are dead.
Dude, everybody was talking about everybody was talking about World War III
change makes these
when Trump started
larger,
bombing random countries in the Middle East.
Deadly because of the historic rainfall. Senator Vance, according to CBS News polling, 7 in 10 Americans and more than 60% of Republicans under the age of 45.
Are we going to give a shit about climate change for once?
Reduce climate change.
Oh my gosh, we care about climate change?
Would the Trump administration have to try and reduce the impact of climate change? I'll give you 2 minutes.
You know what's really making the climate hot is all the hot air head coastal liberals.
Photograph of 2 grandparents on a roof with a 6-year-old child, and it was the last photograph ever taken of them because the roof collapsed and those innocent people lost their lives. And I'm sure Governor WALZ joins me. And our hearts go out to those innocent people. Our prayers go out to them. And
yeah, people dying is bad.
And aggressive as a federal response as we can get to save as many lives as possible. And then, of course, afterwards, to help the people in those communities rebuild. I mean, these are communities that I love. Some of them I know very personally, in Appalachia, all across the Southeast. They need their government to do their job, and I commit.
Yeah, it's only if the GOP did their job a couple weeks ago when they could have authorized a couple extra $1 billion in FEMA funding.
I think this is a very important issue. Look, a lot of people are justifiably worried about all these crazy weather patterns. I think it's important for us, first of all, to say Donald Trump and I support clean air, clean water. We want the environment to be cleaner and safer. But one of the things that I've noticed, some of our Democratic
if Trump gets into office again, he's definitely going to nuke a hurricane this time.
This idea that carbon emissions drives all of the climate change. Well, let's just say that's true, just for the sake of
not the climate change denial.
Science. Let's just say that's true. Well, if you believe that, what would you want to do? The answer is that you'd want to restore as much American manufacturing as possible.
See, what we need to do is pump out more carbon.
In the United States of America, because we're the cleanest economy in the entire world.
We need to pump out more oil.
Actually led to more energy production in China, more manufacturing overseas, more doing business in some of the dirtiest parts of the entire world. And when I say that, I mean the amount of carbon emissions they're doing.
Holy shit! He saw the is this guy racist when he said dirty places
and cleaner water? The best thing to do is to double down and invest in American workers and the American people. And unfortunately, Kamala Harris has done exactly the opposite.
Governor WALZ, you have 2 minutes to respond.
Well, we got close to an agreement because all those things are happening. Look, first of all, it is a horrific tragedy with this hurricane, and my heart goes out to the folks that are down there in contact with the governors. I serve as co-chair of the Council of Governors as we work together on these emergency managements. Governors know no partisanship. They work together. So all of the governors and the emergency responders are on the ground. Those happen on the front end. The federal government comes in, makes sure they're there to that we recover, but we're still in that phase where we need to make sure that they're staying there, staying focused. Now, look, coming back to the climate change issue, there's no doubt this thing roared onto the scene faster and stronger than anything we've seen. Senator Vance has said that there's a climate problem in the past. Donald Trump called it a hoax and then joked that these things would make more beachfront property to be able to invest in.
And then said he wanted to nuke a hurricane to fix it instead.
The Biden-Harris administration is we've seen this investment. We've seen.
Remember when Florida conservatives were thinking about shooting at the hurricanes?
In the Inflation Reduction Act has created jobs all across the country. 2,000 in Jeffersonville, Ohio, taking the EV technology that we invented.
We don't even talk about what he did to Puerto Rico anymore because they don't vote, so who cares, right?
The largest solar manufacturing plant in North America sits in Minnesota. But my farmers know climate change is real. They've seen 500-year droughts, 500-year floods back to back. But what they're doing is adapting, and this has allowed them to tell me, look, I harvest corn, I harvest soybean, and I harvest wind. We are producing more gas and more oil at any time than we ever have. We're also producing more clean energy.
Yeah, when I go to Taco Bell, I harvest wind too. Hey, right, Chet?
To continue to move forward, that climate change is real. Reducing our impact is absolutely critical, but this is not a false choice. You can do that at the same time you're creating the jobs that we're seeing all across the country. That's exactly what this administration has done. We are seeing us becoming an energy superpower for the future, not just the current. And that's what absolutely.
You know, he could hype up the IRA here too.
About how do we mitigate these disasters?
Thank you. Senator, I want to give you an opportunity to respond there. The governor mentioned that President Trump has called climate change a hoax. Do you agree?
Well, look, what the president has said.
Well, let's just say if like reality is true.
Harris and her leadership, if they really believe that climate change is serious, what they would be doing is more manufacturing and more energy production in the United States of America, and that's not what they're doing. So clearly, Kamala Harris herself doesn't believe her own rhetoric on this. If she did, she would actually agree with Donald Trump's energy policies. Now, something Governor WALZ said I think is important to touch upon.
Like what? What are you talking about?
Clean energy. I think
if he could have brought back manufacturing, he would have during his 4 years.
I'm talking, of course, about the Democratic leadership. And the real issue is that if you're spending hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars of American taxpayer money on solar panels that are made in China, number one, you're going to make the economy dirtier. We should be making more of those solar panels here in the United States of America. Some of them are, Tim, but a lot of them are being made overseas in China, especially the components that go into those solar panels. So if you really want to make the environment cleaner,
you can take the boy out of Minnesota, but not the Minnesota out of the boy.
Built a nuclear facility, I think, one in the past 40 years.
Natural gas. Like Trump gives a shit about nuclear power. Done the opposite. Oh, that's hilarious.
And also meant that we're doing
Senator,
worse by the climate.
Senator, your time is up. Governor, would you like to respond?
Well, look,
he probably thinks nuclear energy is setting off nuclear bombs to make it turn a windmill.
But the folks know, and like I said again, these are not liberal folks. These are not folks that are Green New Deal folks. These are farmers that have been drought one year, massive flooding the next year. They understand that it makes sense. Look, our #1 export cannot be topsoil from erosion from these massive storms. We saw it in Minnesota this summer. And thinking about how do we respond to that, we're thinking ahead on this. And what Kamala Harris has been able to do in Minnesota, we're starting to weatherproof some of these things. The infrastructure law that was passed allows us to think about mitigation in the future. How do we make sure that we're protecting by burying our power lines? How do we make sure that we're protecting lakefronts and things that we're seeing more and more of? But to call it a hoax and to take the oil company executives to Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, please.
Give me money for my campaign.
Oh, his dick sucking tour earlier this year. Yes.
Smarter about that. And an all above energy policy is exactly what she's doing, creating those jobs right here.
Oh, man, the Trump rich boy gangbang that he did earlier this year to get his funding edge on Biden. Finally, someone's talking about it.
Now to immigration. The crisis at the U.S.-Mexico border consistently ranks as one of the top
We're moving through these questions quick.
Voters.
There's almost no back and forth.
Your campaign is pledging to carry out the largest mass deportation plan in American history.
God, we hate fucking Browns.
Military to do so. Could you be more specific about exactly how this will work?
Nope.
For example, would you deport parents who have entered the U.S. illegally and separate them from any of their children who were born on U.S. soil? You have 2 minutes.
So first of all, Margaret, before we talk about deportations, we have to stop the bleeding. We have a historic immigration crisis because Kamala Harris started and said that she wanted to undo all of Donald Trump's border policies. 94 executive orders suspending deportations, decriminalizing illegal aliens, massively increasing the asylum fraud that exists in our system. That is
when did she decriminalize illegal? What
is that? A lot of fentanyl is coming into our country. I had a mother who struggled with opioid addiction and has gotten clean.
Oh, he could bring up how he called Trump heroin
to be deprived of their second chance because Kamala
he's actually using his mom as a political point.
Levels. So you've got to stop the bleeding. You've got to re-implement.
Joe Biden fed my mom crack, and that's why she beat me.
Re-implement deportations, and that gets me to your point, Margaret, about what do we actually do? So we've got 25 million illegal aliens who are here in the country. What do we do with them? I think the first thing that we do is we start with the criminal migrants. About 1 million of those people have committed some form of crime in addition to crossing the border illegally. I think you start with deportations on those folks. And then I think you make it harder.
This is kind of crazy. He's actually saying nothing.
Of American workers. A lot of people will go home if they can't work for less than minimum wage in our own country.
Let's deport people who committed crimes. Everybody does that.
Earn a fair wage for doing a good day's work. And the final point, Margaret, is you ask about family separation. Right now in this country, Margaret, we have 320,000 children that the Department of Homeland Security has effectively lost.
No, dude, we talked about this before. Hopefully, this is crazy. This is an insane point.
As drug trafficking mules, the real family separation policy in this country is
because Republicans still support child marriage, but
and I'd ask my fellow
no, they're not lost.
she came into office,
I wonder if WALZ knows this.
She's going to do this. Real leadership would be saying, you know what, I screwed up. We're going to go back to Donald Trump's border policies.
Wasn't that under Trump?
Do that.
Yes, children were getting sexually assaulted in Trump's concentration camps when he was
to respond to any of those specific
when he was there,
allegations,
when he was in office.
including
Yeah,
that the vice
happened a bunch.
president is, quote, letting in fentanyl
And the uterus
and
snatcher.
using kids as drug mules, among other things, regarding children.
The drug mule is not true, but I will say about this, about the fentanyl, because this is a crisis of this, the opioid crisis. And the good news on this is the last 12 months saw the largest decrease in opioid deaths in our nation's history, 30% decrease in Ohio. But there's still more work to do. But let's go back
not the
to this on
numbers.
immigration. Kamala Harris was the Attorney General of the largest state and a border state in California. She's the
this is a good talking point.
race who prosecuted transnational gangs for human trafficking and drug interventions. But look, we all want to solve this. Most of us want to solve this, and that is the United States Congress. That's the Border Patrol agents. That's the Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, he's going to bring up the fact that he voted against that bill.
The fairest and the toughest bill on immigration.
Yep, here it is.
This nation's seen. It was crafted by a conservative senator from Oklahoma, James Lankford. I know him. He's super conservative, but he's a man of principle, wants to get it done. Democrats and Republicans worked on this piece of legislation. The Border Patrol said, this is what we need in here. These are the experts. And the Chamber of Commerce and the Wall Street Journal said, pass this thing. Kamala Harris helped get there. 1,500 new border agents. Detection for drugs. DOJ money to speed up the adjudications on this, just what America wants. But as soon as I was getting ready to pass and actually tackle this, Donald Trump said no, told them to vote against it because it gives him a campaign issue. It gives him to, what would Donald Trump talk about if we actually did some of these things? And they need to be done by the legislature. You can't just do this through the executive branch. So look, we have the options to do this. Donald Trump had 4 years. He had 4 years to do this. And he promised you, America, how easy it would be. I'll build you a big, beautiful wall.
Oh my gosh. Oh my, somebody finally talking about Donald Trump's a piece of shit.
And Mexico didn't pay a dime. But here we are again,
finally.
9 years after he came down that escalator, dehumanizing
my Lord.
people.
It took 8 years, but Democrats finally found the framing 3 weeks before the election's over.
It was so unworkable to be laughable. So that's where we're at. Pass the bill, she'll sign it.
Governor, your time is up. Senator, the question was, will you separate parents from their children, even if their kids are U.S. citizens? You have 1 minute.
Margaret, my point is that we already have massive child separations thanks to Kamala Harris's open border. And I didn't accuse Kamala Harris of inviting drug mules. I said that she enabled the Mexican drug cartels to operate freely in this country. And we know that they use children as drug mules, and it is a disgrace, and it has to stop. Look, I think what Tim said just doesn't.
Anybody in chat trying to be my little drug mule?
3 years, Kamala Harris went out bragging that she was going to undo Donald Trump's border policy. She did exactly that. We had a record number of illegal crossings. We had a record number of fentanyl coming into our country. And now that she's running for president, or a few months before, she says that somehow she got religion and cared a lot about a piece of legislation.
She got religion?
The only thing that she did when she became the vice president, when she became the appointed border czar, was to undo 94 Donald Trump executive action.
I really hope
the border. This problem is leading.
Kamala Harris can undo presidential actions? Executive orders? What?
Schools that are overwhelmed. It's got to stop, and it will when Donald Trump.
I really hope WALZ goes on the.
What about our CBS News polling, which does show
I really hope WALZ talks about the
Americans, more than 50%
thing.
support mass deportations.
Look, we fix this issue with a bill that is necessary, but the issue on this is what happens when you don't want to solve it. You demonize it. And we saw this, and Senator Vance, and it surprises me on this, talking about and saying, I will create stories to bring attention to this. That vilified a large number of people who were here legally in the community of Springfield. The Republican governor said, it's not true, don't do it. There's consequences for this. There's consequences. We could come together. Senator Lankford did it.
Reminding people about the cats and dogs.
Let Donald Trump continue to make it an issue. And the consequences in Springfield were the governor had to send state law enforcement to escort kindergartners to school. I believe Senator Vance wants to solve this, but by standing with Donald Trump and not working together to find a solution, it becomes a talking point. And when it becomes a talking point like this, we dehumanize and villainize other human beings.
Tim,
Governor, your time is up. Senator, I'll give you 1 minute, but let me just ask you the question.
I really wish he.
The governor.
I really wish he got on that.
And I think as a sitting lawmaker, you know that Congress controls the purse strings and any funding. So you have said repeatedly that Donald Trump would,
actions have consequences. That being talked about is good. Him not talking about the border czar thing is like,
controls the purse strings and would need
I think a lot of people don't even understand what that means.
Actually want to implement.
Because nobody knows what the vice president does, which is nothing, actually.
The southern border is just empowering law enforcement to do their job. I've been to the southern border more than our borders are. Kamala Harris has been, and it's actually heartbreaking because the Border Patrol agents, they just want to be empowered to do their job. Of course, additional resources would help, but most of this is about the president and the vice president empowering our law enforcement to say, if you try to come across the border illegally, you've got to stay in Mexico, you've got to go back through proper channels. Now, Governor WALZ brought up the community of Springfield, and he's very worried about the things that I've said in Springfield. Look, in Springfield, Ohio, and in communities all across this country, you've got schools that are overwhelmed, you've got hospitals that are overwhelmed, you've got housing that is totally unaffordable because we brought in millions of illegal immigrants to compete with Americans.
Vance would be in The Hague if we were a real country.
What I'm most worried about in Springfield, Ohio, are the American citizens who have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's open border. It is a disgrace, Tim. And I actually think, I agree with you. I think you want to solve this problem, but I don't think that Kamala Harris does.
Senator, your time is up. Governor, you have 1 minute to respond.
Yeah, well, it is law enforcement that asked for the bill. They helped craft it. They're the ones that supported it. That's because they know we need to do this. Look, this issue of continuing to bring this up, of not dealing with it, of blaming migrants for everything. On housing, we could talk a little bit about Wall Street speculators buying up housing and making them less affordable, but it becomes a blame. Look, this bill also gives the money necessary to.
That's a good talking point. Wow.
I agree. It should not take 7 years for an asylum.
Finally, somebody talking about the real shit.
It done in 90 days. Then you start to make a difference in this, and you start to adhere to what we know, American principles. Look, I don't talk about my faith a lot, but Matthew 25:40 talks about
Bible quote.
You do unto me. I think that's true.
I'm gonna fall to my knees.
Americans, they simply want order to it. This bill does it. It's funded. It's supported by the people who do it, and it lets us keep our dignity about how we treat other people.
Thank you, Governor. And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status. Right. Temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret,
Senator, please shut the fuck up.
The economy, thank
Margaret, the rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking,
is he about to walk out?
I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CB.
Wait, did he just admit that? We agreed that you wouldn't correct me.
For asylum or apply for parole and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own leadership.
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process.
Not the snort!
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for saying exactly what we said.
It's been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process.
Yo, this is hilarious.
Nora.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you, Senator, for explaining the legal process. Thank you. I'm glad you know.
Each of your campaigns has released an economic plan, so let's talk about the specifics.
Oh, here we go.
WALZ. Vice President Harris unveiled a plan that includes billions in tax credits for manufacturing, housing, and a renewed child tax credit.
Specifics is not the Trump-Vance good standpoint.
Increase the nation's deficit by $1.2 trillion. How would you pay for that without ballooning the deficit? Governor, I'll give you 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. And Kamala Harris and I do believe in the middle
Please
class.
talk about how
we both grew up in that. We
ballooned the deficit and spent it on nothing.
Back and forth, and it's good. It's healthy. That's what this is supposed to happen. You should be listening. How's this going to impact me? The bold forward plan that Kamala Harris put out there is talking about this housing issue. The one thing is there's 3 million new houses proposed under this plan with down payment assistance on the front end to get you in a house. A house is much more than just an asset to be traded somewhere. It's foundational to where you're at. And
oh my goodness.
sure that the things you buy
it's almost like it should be a human right and not just an asset.
Other things,
maybe not an asset at all.
Fairness in that. Look, the $35 insulin is a good thing, but it costs $5 to make insulin. They were charging $800 before this law went into effect. As far as the housing goes, I've seen it in Minnesota. 12% more houses in Minneapolis. Prices.
This guy loves Minnesota.
4%. It's working. And then making sure tax cuts go to the middle class. $6,000 child tax credit. We have one in Minnesota.
I did just notice that he's wearing a pink tie.
Childhood poverty by a third. We save money in the long run, and we do the right thing.
Pussy boy wears pink tie to debate.
This is off the ground. The law as it stands right now is $5,000 tax credit for small business, increasing that to $50,000. Now, this is a philosophical difference between us. Donald Trump made a promise, and I'll give you this. He kept it. He took folks to Mar-a-Lago. He said, "You're rich as hell. I'm going to give you a tax cut." He gave the tax cuts that predominantly went to the top class. What happened there was an $8 trillion increase in the national debt, the largest ever. Now he's proposing a 20% consumption or sales tax on everything we bring in. Everyone agrees, including businesses, it would be destabilizing it, it would increase inflation and potentially lead to a recession. Look, this is simple for you. Where are we going? Kamala Harris has said to do the things she wants to do, we'll just ask the wealthiest to pay their fair share. When you do that, our system works best, more people are participating in it, and folks have the things that they need.
Senator, I want to give you a moment to respond on that. But similarly, the Wharton School has done an analysis of the Trump plan.
Oh, this is going to be.
It would increase the nation's
well, why would we trust lab coats?
$5.8 trillion.
Donald Trump crashed a casino. He knows business.
Without ballooning the deficit. I'll give you 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, you're going to hear
Senator Vance, why aren't you stupid?
This evening, and you just heard it in the answer.
You can't start the. Well, you're going to hear the like 30 minutes into debate, dog.
I'll be honest with you, it even sounds pretty good. Here's what you won't hear: is that Kamala Harris.
Hey, his plan is actually pretty good.
Because she's been the vice president for 3.5 years. She had the opportunity to enact all of these great policies, and what she's actually done instead is drive the cost of food higher by 25%, drive the cost of housing higher by about 60%, open the American southern border and make middle-class life unaffordable for a large number of Americans. If Kamala Harris has such great plans for how to address middle-class problems, then she ought to do them now, not when asking for a promotion, but in the job the American people gave her 3.5 years ago. And the fact that she isn't tells you a lot about how much you can trust her actual plans. Now, Donald Trump's economic plan.
WALZ can like judo chop him here in the craziest way possible.
A lot of those same economists attack Donald Trump's plans, and they have PhDs, but they don't have common sense and they don't have wisdom, because Donald Trump's economic policies delivered the highest take-home pay in a generation in this country, 1.5%.
Yeah, everybody who knows what they're talking about doesn't agree
over the world. So,
but they're not Trump.
Donald Trump's economic plan doesn't make sense. I say, look at
the God King knows what's right.
Take-home pay for American workers. Now, Tim admirably admits that they want to undo the Trump tax cuts. But if you look at what was so different about Donald Trump's tax cuts, even from previous Republican tax cut plans, is that a lot of those resources went to giving more take-home
to the rich,
middle class and working class Americans. It was passed in 2017, and you saw an American economic boom unlike we've seen in a generation.
You know what's crazy about that is that
I'm proud to run
after
2018 wisdom, so that you can afford to live the American dream again.
Our economy crashed.
Struggling. I know a lot of you are worried about paying the bills. It's going to stop when Donald Trump brings back common sense to this country.
Senator, do you want to respond to that? What has Kamala Harris done for the middle class?
Yeah, well, Kamala Harris's day one was Donald Trump's failure on COVID that led to the collapse of our economy. We were already before COVID in a manufacturing recession, but 10 million people out of work, largest percentage since the Great Depression. 9 million jobs.
We had to dig the entire world out of Trump's failure.
After other things we moved. Now, you made a question about experts, said this. I've made a note of this. Economists can't be trusted. Science can't be trusted. National security folks can't be trusted. Look, if you're going to be president, you don't have all the answers. Donald Trump believes he does. My pro tip of the day is this. If you need heart surgery, listen to the people at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, not Donald Trump. And the same thing goes with this. And I ask you out there, teachers, nurses, truck drivers, or whatever, how is it that you're paying your taxes every year and Donald Trump hasn't paid any federal tax in the last 15 years? Last year as president. That's what's wrong with the system. There's a way around it, and he's bragged about that. We're just asking for fairness in it And that's all you want.
Hard right hook on the pillow puncher.
Governor, you say trust the experts. But those same experts for 40 years
told us COVID was real.
Base off to China, we'd get cheaper goods. They lied about that. They said if we shipped our
that was right.
Other countries to Mexico and elsewhere, it would make the middle class stronger. They were wrong about that. They were
like the Republicans, did that.
America less self-reliant, less productive in our own nation, that it would somehow make us better off, and they were wrong about it. And for the first time in a generation, Donald Trump had the wisdom and the courage to say to that bipartisan consensus, we're not doing it anymore. We're bringing American manufacturing back. We're unleashing American industry.
He's really trying to hit on that like anti-establishment thing, but
I mean, I've got three beautiful little.
I'm not sure if anybody over the age of like
I love them very much, and I hope
25
now. But look, so
this hits hard with
the pharmaceuticals that we
don't trust the lab coats.
Children are manufactured by nations that hate us. This
what?
And we're not going to stop it by listening to experts. We're going to stop it by listening to common sense wisdom, which is what Donald Trump
is. He doing like medicine denialism? Xi Jinping's going to put mercury in your kids' vaccines? Are you serious?
If you're listening tonight and you want billionaires to get tax cuts, you heard what the numbers were. Look, I'm a union guy on this. I'm not a guy who wanted to ship things overseas, but I understand that, look, we produce soybeans and corn. We need to have fair trading partners. That's something that we believe in. I think the thing that most concerns me on this is Donald Trump was the guy who created the largest trade deficit in American history with China. So the rhetoric is good. Much of what the senator said right there, I'm in agreement with him on this. I watched it happen too. I watched it to my communities, and we talked about that. But we had people undercutting the right to collectively bargain. We had right to work states made it more difficult. We had companies that were willing to flip it over, and we saw people profit. Folks that are venture capital in some cases, putting money into companies that were overseas.
Not him looking at him and saying venture capitalists. He knew.
The issue is Donald Trump is talking about it. Kamala Harris has a record, 250,000 more manufacturing jobs just out of the IRA.
May I respond to that?
Yes.
So appreciate that. So if you notice, what Governor WALZ just did is he said, first of all, Donald Trump has to listen to the experts. And then when he acknowledged that the experts screwed up, he said, well, Donald Trump didn't do nearly as good of a job as the statistics show that he did. So what Tim Walz is doing, and I honestly, Tim, I think you got a tough job here, because you've got to play whack-a-mole. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver rising take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did.
He did not.
Simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record.
Inflation rose every year.
Groceries and housing unaffordable
of his administration.
Citizens. I was raised by a woman who would sometimes go into medical debt so that she could put food on the table in our household. I know what it's like to not be able to afford the things that you need to afford.
Did you go medical debt to get food? What does that mean?
All of you watching, we can get back to an America that's affordable again. We just got to get back to common sense economic principles.
I hope we have a conversation on health care then.
Senator, Governor.
Please.
Thank you. Margaret?
She said, please.
We have a lot to get to ahead, gentlemen, on many topics. But right now, I want to talk about personal qualifications. The vice president is often the last voice the president hears before making consequential decisions. We want to ask you about your leadership qualities. Governor WALZ, you said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year.
What is this?
Can you explain that discrepancy?
Yeah, well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska, town of 400, town that you rode your bike with your buddies till the streetlights come on, and I'm proud of that service. I joined the National Guard at 17, worked on family farms, and then I used the GI Bill to become a teacher, passionate about it, a young teacher. My first year out, I got the opportunity in the summer of '89 to. What
does that have to do with? I don't know. I really don't.
5 years ago, be able to do that. I came back home and then started a program to take young people there. We would take basketball teams, we would take baseball teams, we would take dancers, and we would go back and forth to China. The issue for that was to try and learn. Now, look, my community knows who I am. They saw where I was at. Look, I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect, and I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that. Those same people elected me to Congress. for 12 years. And in Congress, I was one of the most bipartisan people working on things.
So
like
what he said he was
done, working on veterans benefits.
Wait, so let me see if I can get this right. He said he was in China when Tiananmen Square happened,
My commitment has
but he was going back and forth between China around the time Tiananmen Square happened instead?
I will say more than anything. Many times I will talk a lot. I will get caught up in the rhetoric.
Is that even
being there, the impact it made, the difference it made in my life? I learned a lot about China. I hear the critiques of this. I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us.
He's explaining just way too much.
Praising Xi Jinping about COVID, and I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing. So this is about trying to understand the world. It's about trying to do the best you can for your community, and then it's putting yourself out there and letting your folks understand what it is. My commitment, whether it be through teaching, which I was good at, or whether it was being a good soldier or was being a good member of Congress, those are the things that I think are the values that people care about.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests, went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Why didn't you say that? Why didn't you say that from the beginning?
Thank you, Governor.
Wait a second. So
in 2016, you called your running.
He called himself a knucklehead. Why'd you do that?
For the nation's highest office, and you said he could be America's.
Wait, I was right.
I know you've been asked many times, and you've said you regret those comments.
When the Tiananmen Square protests were happening.
Donald Trump in 2020.
This is a good one.
The Washington Post reported new messages last week in which you also disparaged Trump's economic record while he was president. Writing to someone in 2020, quote, Trump thoroughly failed to deliver his economic populism. You're now his running mate, and you've shifted many of your policy stances to align with his. If you become vice president, why
look at that pained face.
That you will give Donald Trump the advice he needs to hear, and not just the advice he wants to hear.
Why are you not just a yes man for power, pussy boy?
And sometimes, of course, I've disagreed with the president, but I've also been extremely open about the fact that I was wrong.
I've disagreed with the president.
I was wrong, first of all, because I believed some of the media stories that turned out to be dishonest fabrications of his record. But most importantly, Donald Trump delivered for the American people. Rising wages, rising take-home pay, an economy that worked for normal Americans, a secure southern border, a lot of things, frankly, that I didn't think he'd be able to deliver on. And yeah, when you screw up, when you misspeak, when you get something wrong and you change your mind, you ought to be honest with the American people about it. It's one of the reasons, Margaret.
I'm not sure if it's just like a misspeak to call him Hitler.
It's important to actually explain to the American people where I come down on the issues and what changed. Now, you pointed out the messages from 2020. Margaret, I've been extremely consistent that I think there were a lot of things that we could have done better in the Trump administration the first round if Congress was doing its job. I strongly believe that Congress is not just a high-class debating society.
So it's
a forum for senators.
So yeah, Trump didn't do anything good, but like,
so there were a lot.
It was Congress's fault. I mean, he was just the president.
Where I think that we could have done so much more if the Republican Congress and the Democrats in Congress had been a little bit better about how they govern the country. They were so obsessed with impeaching.
This is actually way worse than
actually govern. And I want to
WALZ said.
This tariff issue in particular, Margaret, because Tim just accused this of being a national sales tax. Look, the one thing, and you're probably surprised to hear me praising Joe Biden, but the one thing that Joe Biden did is he continued some of the
says Trump was wrong, says Trump couldn't do stuff, and now praises Biden.
Issue, the most pro-worker part of the Biden administration, it's the one issue where Kamala Harris has run away from Joe Biden's record. Think about this. If you're trying to employ slave laborers in China at $3 a day, you're going to do that and undercut the wages of American workers unless our country stands up for itself and says, you're not accessing our markets unless you're...
If Trump was going to bring back manufacturing, why didn't he do it for the 4 years he was in office?
Nora?
Thank you. Now to the issue of reproductive rights.
Oh, no, it's so over.
Roe versus Wade was overturned. You signed a bill into law that made Minnesota one of the least restrictive states in the nation when it comes to abortion. Former President Trump said in the last debate that you believe abortion, quote, in the 9th month is absolutely fine. Yes or no? Is that what you support? I'll give you 2 minutes.
That's not what the bill says, but look, this issue is what's on everyone's mind. Donald Trump put this all into motion. He brags about how great it was.
He's already
put the judges in.
Oh my gosh!
Overturned Roe versus Wade. 52.
Vance started hearing about women being able to make choices, and he's starting to like get sick. He's taking true damage.
It's a beautiful thing. Amanda Zaworski would disagree with you on it's a beautiful thing. A young bride in Texas waiting for their child at 18 weeks. She has a complication, a tear in the membrane. She needs to go in. The medical care at that point needs to be decided by the doctor. And that would have been an abortion. But in Texas, that would have put them in legal jeopardy. She went home, got sepsis, nearly dies, and now she may have difficulty having children. Or in Kentucky, Hadley Duvall, a 12-year-old child, raped and impregnated by her stepfather.
Ooh, start listing out all the stories.
Those are horrific. Now, when God asked about that, Senator Vance said two wrongs don't make a right.
Why didn't he bring up the 10-year-old who was assaulted in Ohio?
In Minnesota, what we did was
who had to escape
Roe versus Wade. We made sure that we put women in charge of their.
Or the woman who literally just died in Georgia. Oh, that one's good too.
No, Amanda or a Hadley, you soon will. Their Project 2025 is going to have a registry of pregnancies. It's going to make it more difficult, if not impossible, to get contraception and limit access, if not eliminate access to infertility treatments. For so many of you out there listening, me included, infertility treatments are why I have a child. That's nobody else's business, but those things are being proposed. And the catch-all on this is, well, the states will decide what's right for Texas might not be right for Washington. That's not how this works. This is basic human right. We have seen maternal mortality skyrocket in Texas, outpacing many other countries in the world. This is about health care. In Minnesota, we are ranked first in health care. Oh my goodness,
thank you.
We trust women, we trust doctors.
Senator, do you want to respond to the governor's claim? Will you create a federal pregnancy monitoring agency?
No, Nora, certainly we won't. And I want to talk about this.
Oh, we definitely won't.
A lot of Americans care about it, and I know a lot of Americans don't agree.
Hey, remember when you said that Donald Trump would vote down the national abortion ban, and then he didn't agree?
Family in a neighborhood where I knew a lot of young
and he said he didn't even talk to you about it?
Decided to terminate those pregnancies because they feel like they didn't have any other options. And party, we've got to do so much better of a job at earning the American people's trust back on this issue where they frankly just don't trust us. And I think that's one of the things that Donald Trump and I are endeavoring to do. I want us as
oh my gosh, really?
To be pro-family in the fullest sense of the word.
He turned up his belly on this, really?
Treatments. I want us to make it easier for moms.
He's throwing the Republicans under the bus on this?
Home so they can afford a place to raise that family. And I think that we can do on the public.
This is a really important part.
Just to give women more options. Now, of course, Donald Trump has been very clear that on the abortion policy specifically, that we have a big country and it's diverse. And California has a different viewpoint on this than Georgia. Georgia has a different viewpoint from Arizona, and the proper way to handle this, as messy as democracy sometimes is to let voters make these decisions, let the individual states make their abortion policy, and I think that's what makes the most sense in a very big, a very diverse, and let's be honest, sometimes a very, very messy and divided country.
It's messy when you force people to die in pregnancies that they were just gonna not get.
Donald Trump made the accusation that wasn't true about Minnesota. Well, let me tell you about this idea that there's diverse states. There's a young woman named Amber Thurman. She happened to be in Georgia, a restricted state. Because of that, she's
putting it on in layers.
Long distance to North Carolina to try and get her care.
It's so
Amber
good.
Thurman died in that journey back and forth.
It's a disgusting story.
How can we as a nation say that your life and your rights, as basic as the right to control your own body, is determined on geography? There's a very real chance, had Amber Thurman lived in Minnesota, she would be alive today. That's why the restoration of Roe versus Wade. When you listen to Vice President Harris talk about this subject and you hear me talk about it, you hear us talking exactly the same. Donald Trump is trying to figure out how to get the political right of this. I agree with a lot of what Senator Vance said about what's happening. His running mate, though, does not, and that's the problem.
Governor, your time is up. Senator, let me ask you about that. He mentioned, it was, I think, referring to a national ban. In the past, you have supported a federal ban on abortion after 15 weeks. In fact, you said if someone can't support legislation like that, quote, you are making the United States the most barbaric pro-abortion regime anywhere in the entire world.
Man, it must hurt to hear your own bullshit, huh?
Why have you changed your position?
Well, Nora, first of all, I never supported a national ban. I did when I was running for Senate.
Me when I lie?
Talk about setting some minimum national standard. For example, we have a partial
a national ban
in place in this country at the federal level. I don't think anybody's trying to get rid of that, or at least
it's not a national ban; it's a national restriction.
A very radical pro-abortion stance. But Nora, you know, one of the things that changed is in the state of Ohio, we had a referendum in 2023, and the people of Ohio voted overwhelmingly, by the way, against my position. And I think that what I learned from that, Nora, is that we've got to do a better job at winning back people's trust. So many young women would love to have families.
I completely disagree with my voters, and they vote against me every time.
Livelihood, destroy their education.
They have the option to, but I know what's right.
Earn people's trust back, and that's why Donald Trump and I are committed to pursuing.
We need to convince women
making childcare
that they need to die in pregnancy,
making fertility treatments more accessible, because we've got to do a better job at that, and that's what real leadership is.
Governor, your response.
Well, I'm going to respond on the pro-abortion piece of that. No, we're not. We're pro-women. We're pro-freedom to make your own choice. We know what the implications are to not be that. Women having miscarriages,
and apparently he doesn't.
Getting the care. Physicians feeling like they may be prosecuted for providing that care. And as far as making sure that we're educating our children and giving them options, Minnesota's a state with one of the lowest teen pregnancy rates. We understand that too. We know that the options need to be.
Did he shrug when he said low teen pregnancy rates?
We also make it. We're a top.
Did he just shrug?
For the best place to raise children. But these two things to try and say that we're pro-children, but we don't like this, or you guys are pro-abortion, that's not the case at all. We are pro-freedoms for women to make their choices, and we're going, and Kamala Harris is making the case, to make options for children more affordable, a $6,000 child tax credit, but we're not going to
put it on the backs
of making someone like Amber Thurman drive 600 miles to try and get health care.
Senator.
May I respond to that? First of all, Governor, I agree with you. Amber Thurman should still be alive, and there are a lot of people who should still be alive, and I certainly wish that she was. And maybe
that's too bad.
You're free to disagree with me on this and explain this to me, but as I read the Minnesota law that you signed into law, the statute that you signed into law, it says that a doctor who presides over an abortion where the baby survives, the doctor is under no obligation to provide life-saving care to a baby who survives a botched late-term abortion. That is, I think, whether you're pro-choice or pro-abortion, that is fundamentally barbaric. And that's why I use that word, Nora, is because some of what we've seen, do you want to force Catholic hospitals to perform abortions against their will? Because Kamala Harris has supported suing Catholic nuns to violate their freedom of conscience. We can be...
I think if a woman's about to die and in a Catholic hospital, she should get care.
Pro-baby and pro-family, but please...
Yes, Governor, please respond.
Look, this is one where there's always something there. This is a very simple proposition. These are women's decisions to make about their healthcare decisions, and the physicians who know best when they need to do this. Trying to distort the way a law is written to try and make a point.
Yeah, 50, what Vance is doing is comparisons.
What was that wrong about?
That is not the way the law is written. Look, I've given
But
this,
how?
I've given this advice on a lot of things, that getting involved, getting engaged, that's been misread, and it was fact-checked at the last debate. But the point on this is there's a continuation of these guys to try and tell women or to get involved. I use this line on this, just mind your own business on this. Things worked best when Roe versus Wade was in place. When we do a restoration of Roe, that works best. That doesn't preclude us from increasing funding for children. It doesn't increase us from making sure that once that child's born, like in Minnesota, they get meals, they get early childhood.
Mind your own damn business.
Health care. So the hiding behind we're going to...
Well, in Ohio, they get fentanyl.
When you're not proposing them in your budget.
And galaxy gas, so...
Is proposing them. She's proposing all those things to make life easier for families.
I asked a specific question, Governor. You gave me a slogan as a response.
It's not the case. It's not true. That's not what the law says. So they fact-checked it with President Trump.
Gentlemen, there's a lot to discuss. We have to move on, and we're going to be right back with much more of the CBS News vice presidential debate in just a moment.
All right. So I think specifically on, like, look at, did you see that sigh? He's not, that's funny. That's funny. Him, I think that's going to be replayed. That thing that's going to be replayed there is definitely going to be JD Vance shrugging when JD Vance shrugging when WALZ brought up the fact that Minnesota has a much lower teen pregnancy rate than the rest of the country. He was like, yeah, okay, whatever. He literally was like, whatever. I thought that was crazy. on specific performance, I think Vance is doing better than Trump. The problem for Vance, though, is that he's simply just more evil than Trump. Actually, he genuinely is. He's more slimy and he's more insidious than Trump, which is pretty funny. How Trump's sons found someone who was slimier and grimier than him. So these questions, simply when he just gets asked, there's no out. And I thought it was really, he's just cruel, yeah. And I thought it was really interesting that when asked really tough questions, instead of like trying to find a way out of it, he like just turns up his belly and surrenders. He turns up the soft underbelly. He turns up his little belly and shows that pale little belly and just like and surrenders on the point. Bro was literally like, yeah, Republicans like suck ass on this. I don't know what to tell you, dog. Like, women really hate us. Sorry, but like, I'm not gonna change my opinion. Like, yeah, it sucks when women die, but I'm gonna keep voting for a policy that makes sure they do die. And I'm just gonna like tweet about how it's sad when they do. But like, we need to convince women that they need to die. That they need to die from pregnancy complications. We need to earn women's trust that we have their back when it comes to forcing them to give birth to their rapist babies. And that's why me and Trump are going to make sure that happens with a national restriction and not a ban. Okay, like all right. Okay, yeah, this is not good. This one's bad. On strictly performance, he's way more focused than Trump is. But I expected that because he's not as, demented as Trump is. He's not that old yet. But he's as bad of a person. He's as bad as he's as bad of a person. I see what they're doing. Some people are like, they defanged WALZ. They made WALZ more. There are people talking like, there are people who I see here who like WALZ is defanged. WALZ is less like attack. I think it'll work out for him. I'm gonna be honest with you, because he's leaning on the teacher, protector, older, wiser, more like calmer, like balance to Harris, which is supposed to be younger, more fiery, more in your face, right? Like that was the point of him being on the ticket, actually, that like older, wiser executive experience. I think him leaning into that and kind of like little broing Vance I think it'll work out.
Analysis now, back to the debate.
I'm not sure. I mean, I can't tell the future, but I think both of them going on the same note doesn't give what they're trying to give when it comes to him being on the ticket, in my opinion.
Welcome back to the CBS News vice presidential debate. We want to turn now to America's gun violence epidemic. The leading cause of death for children and teens in America is by firearms.
This is bad topic after bad topic for Vance.
Legislation that Democrats claim would curb gun violence. You oppose red flag gun laws and legislation to ban certain semi-automatic rifles, including AR-15s. So let me ask you, earlier this year, for the first time, the parents of a school shooter were convicted of involuntary manslaughter and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Do you think holding parents responsible could curb mass shootings? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, Nora, on that particular case, I don't know the full details, but I certainly trust.
Let's ban parents and not guns. Oh, good idea.
I think in some cases the answer is going to be yes, and in some cases the answer is going to be no. And the details really matter here, of course. For example, if a kid steals a gun, that's going to be different than if a parent hands over a gun knowing that their kid is potentially dangerous. But look, I want to just sort of speak as a father.
I think the guns is what's dangerous.
Little kids, and our oldest is now in 2nd grade. And like a lot of parents, we send our kids to school with such hope and such joy and such pride at their little faces on the first day of school. And we know
not their little face,
that a lot of kids are going to experience this terrible epidemic of gun violence. And of course, our hearts go out to the families that are affected by this terrible.
He just laugh.
And we do have to do better. And I think that Governor WALZ and I actually probably agree that we need to do better on this. The question is just, how do we actually do it? Now, here's something that really bothers me and worries me about this epidemic of violence. The gross majority, close to 90%, and some of the
brown people
of the gun violence in this country is committed with illegally obtained firearms. And while we're on that topic, we know that thanks to Kamala Harris's open border, we've seen a massive influx in the number of illegal guns run by the Mexican drug cartels. So that number, the amount of illegal guns in our country is higher today than it was 3.5 years ago.
You know what help out with that? A national gun registry. The thing that you disagree with, and also those guns come from places like Ohio and Missouri.
I want my kids to go to.
They don't come from Mexico.
In a school that feels unsafe.
We traffic guns to Mexico, not the other way around.
But I unfortunately think that we have to increase security in our schools. We have to make the doors.
We got to put more guns in school to get guns out of school.
We've got to make the windows stronger, and of course we've got to increase school resource officers, because the idea that we can magically wave a wand and take guns
every
bad guys.
Wow, this is crazy.
With recent experience, so we've got to make our schools safer, and I think we've got to have some common sense, bipartisan.
The solution is to give schools bulletproof windows.
Well, I think all the parents watching.
I'm shook.
This is your biggest nightmare. Look, I got a 17-year-old, and he witnessed a shooting at a community center playing volleyball. Those things.
We need to give schools like Death Star vault doors on the hallways.
Surrounded by dozens of the Sandy Hook parents, and they were looking at my 7-year-old picture on the wall. Their 7-year-old were dead, and they were asking us to do something. And look, I'm a hunter. I own firearms. The vice president is. We understand that the Second Amendment is there, but our first responsibility is to our kids to figure this out. In Minnesota, we've
that line kind of cooks.
Enhanced red flag laws, enhanced background checks, and we can start to get data. But here's the problem. If we really want to solve this, we've got folks that won't allow research to be even done on gun violence.
Oh, yes,
and
like Vance.
That we should just.
He doesn't even know what he's talking about.
Here's what I do think, that this is a good start to the conversation.
He's so much of a shitty senator, he doesn't even know about the ADF's ban on researching guns.
It's abhorrent, and it breaks your heart. I agree with that. But that's not far enough when we know there are things that worked. I've spent time in Finland and seen some Finnish schools. They don't have this happen.
Ew.
Even though they have a high gun ownership rate in the country.
Me when I swallow in the mic.
Reasonable things that we can do to make a difference. It's not infringing on your Second Amendment. And the idea to have some of these weapons out there, it just doesn't make any sense. Kamala Harris, as an attorney general, worked on this issue. She knows that it's there.
That's the gulp he made when he swallowed Vance.
I ask all of you out there, do you want your schools hardened to look like a fort? Is that what we have to go when we know there's countries around the world that their children aren't practicing these types of drills? They're being kids. We owe it to them to get a fix. These are things that shouldn't be that difficult. You can still keep your firearms, and we can make a difference.
What if we send kids to school in giant hamster balls covered in Kevlar?
Tim, first of all, I didn't know that your 17-year-old witnessed a shooting. And I'm sorry about that, and I hope that he's doing okay. Christ have mercy. It is awful. And I appreciate what Tim said, actually, about Finland, because I do think it illustrates some of the frankly, weird differences between our.
He's getting into this fucking like Twitter debate, like, well, Finland has more guns and they have less shootings. Maybe it's because they don't have Browns.
Of mental health abuse or mental health substance abuse. We have way higher rates of depression, way higher rates of anxiety. We unfortunately have a mental health crisis in this country that I really do think that we need to get to the root causes of, because I don't think it's the whole reason why we have such a bad gun violence problem, but I do think it's a big piece of it. Another driver of the gun violence epidemic, especially that affecting our kids, it doesn't earn as many headlines, but is the terrible terrible gun violence problem in a lot of our big cities. And this is why we have to empower law enforcement to arrest the bad guys, put them away, and take.
Oh, well, thankfully, Biden and Harris were in office to drop crime rates down way further than Trump ever could.
Senator, thank you. Governor, you previously opposed an assault weapons ban, but it's only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was the NRA guy for a long time. They used to teach gun safety. I'm of an age where my shotgun was in my car so I could pheasant hunt after football practice. That's not where we live today. And several things I want to mention on this is talking about cities and where it's at. The number one where the most firearm deaths happen in Minnesota are rural suicides. And we have an epidemic of children getting guns and shooting themselves. And so we have and we should look at all of the issues. Making sure folks have health care and all that, but I want to be very careful. This idea of stigmatizing mental health, just because you have a mental health issue doesn't mean you're violent. And I think what we end up doing is we start looking for a scapegoat. Sometimes it just is the guns. It's just the guns, and there are things that you can do about it. But
he nodded a little bit.
And I think this is a healthy conversation. I think there's a capacity to find solutions on this that work, protect Second Amendment, protect our children. That's our priority.
Gentlemen, thank you. Margaret?
Thank you, Nora. Let's turn now to the top contributor to inflation, the high cost of housing and rent. There's a shortage of more than 4 million homes in the United States, and that contributes to the high housing prices. Governor WALZ, the Harris campaign promises a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and a $10,000 tax credit. They also promise to build 3 million new homes. Where are you building these homes, and won't handing out that kind of money just drive up prices higher?
No, it's not handing out. We have, first, let me say this issue of housing, and I think those of you listening on this, the problem we've had is that we've got a lot of folks that see housing as another commodity. It can be bought up, it can be shifted, it can be moved around. Those are not folks living.
The commodification of human necessities, crazy.
Big deal. I bought and owned one house in my life. My mom still lives in the house where I was. And when I think of a house, I'm thinking of Christmas services after midnight mass where you go with your family. We need to make it more affordable. And one of the things, as I said, this program that the Vice President is pushing forward and bringing a new way of approaching this is something we're doing in Minnesota from that lead. We in the state invested in making sure our housing was the biggest investment that we'd ever made in housing. It starts to make it easier. We cut some of the red tape. Local folks, look, we can't do it at the federal level, but local folks make it easier to build those homes. And then that down payment assistance. I can tell all of you out there, one of the, certainly for me, using the GI Bill was one thing, but a veteran's home loan, the big thing about a veteran's home loan is you don't have to pay the down payment. Those are things that make it there. Now, look, you're going to pay it back, and you're going to pay your mortgage. Those are things that we know in the long run, the appreciated value, the generational wealth that's created from it. And I will give Minneapolis an example. Minneapolis is the one city where we've seen the lowest inflation rates. We've seen a 12% increase in stock because we've put some of these things in, and we're implementing a state program to make sure we give some of that down payment assistance. We get it back from people because here's what we know. People with stable housing end up with stable jobs. People with stable housing have their kids able to get to school. All of those things in the long run end up saving our money. And that's the thing that I think we should be
investing in people.
Ground in, but we can't blame immigrants for the only reason. That's not the case that's happening in many cities. The fact of the matter is that we don't have enough naturally affordable housing, but we can make sure that the government's there to help kickstart it, create that base.
Governor, your time is up. Senator Vance, as far as
perfectly fine answer.
Position, the promise is to seize federal lands to build homes, remove regulation, provide tax breaks, and cut back on immigration, which you say pushes up prices. Where are you going to build all the new homes you're promising?
Where are you going to get that money from?
What part of any of this plan will provide immediate relief? You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, Tim just said something that I agree with. We don't want to blame immigrants for higher housing prices, but we do want to blame
the Browns
for letting in millions of illegal aliens into this country, which does drive up costs, Tim. 25 million illegal aliens competing with Americans for scarce homes is one of the most significant drivers of home prices in the country. It's why we have massive increases in home prices that have happened right alongside massive increases in illegal alien populations under Kamala Harris's leadership. Now, Tim just mentioned a bunch of ideas. Now, some of those ideas I actually think are halfway decent, and some of them I disagree with, but the most important thing here is Kamala Harris is not running as a newcomer to politics. She is the sitting vice president. If she wants to enact all of these policies to make housing more affordable, I invite her to use the office that the American people
he's doing just fine.
Not sit around and campaign and do nothing while Americans find the American dream of homeownership completely unaffordable. Now, you asked, Margaret, what would immediately change the equation for American citizens if you lower energy prices? As Donald Trump says, drill, baby, drill, one of the biggest drivers of housing costs aside from illegal
drill, baby, drill.
If a truck driver is paying 40% more for diesel, then the lumber he's delivering to the job site to build the house is also going to become a lot more expensive. If we open up American energy, you will get immediate pricing relief for American citizens, not, by the way, just in housing, but in a whole host of other economic.
So we're not going to
Senator Vance, you still
improve housing. We're going to drill oil.
Can I have it?
Where, Governor, we will get to you in a moment. But Senator, where are you going to seize the federal lands? Can you clarify?
Well, what Donald Trump has said is we
will build homes on Mount St. Helens
for national park. They're not being used, and they could be places where we build a lot of housing
on national parks.
We should be opening up building in this country. We have a lot of land that could be used. We have a lot of Americans that need homes. We should be kicking out illegal immigrants who are competing for those homes, and we should be building more homes for the American citizens who deserve to be here.
Senator, your time is up. Governor, I do want to let you respond to the allegation that the vice president is letting in
Well, of course, that's not true. And again, you have the facts. I guess we agreed not to fact check. I'll check it. That, look, crossings are down compared to when Donald Trump left office. But it's, again, blaming and not trying to find the solution. I was going to ask, though, on this question, are we going to drill and build houses in the same federal land? And I think when people hear federal lands, these are really important pieces of land. Now, Minnesota doesn't have a lot of federal lands. I know in the West.
We're going to drill, baby, drill.
We do.
We're going to build a house
a lot of federal land
on the oil field
in and around Minneapolis, for example. So the issue is I don't understand the federal lands issue unless we see this, and I worry about this as someone who cares deeply about our national parks and our federal lands. Look, Minnesota, we protect these things. We've got about 20% of the world's fresh water. These lands protect. They're there for a reason.
Thanks,
they belong to all of us. But again, this is when
is amphetamine, right?
And you view these things as commodities. Like there's
only less important
money here. Let's take this federal land and let's sell it to people for that. I think there's better ways to do this. We've seen it in Minnesota. We're able to refurbish some of these houses. We're able to make some investments. That gets people in. And I'm still on the fact on this. Economists, Senator Vance, you said you don't like the economists. Which economists are saying that it is immigrants that's adding to the cost?
Governor, your time is up. But Senator, on that point, I'd like for you to clarify. There are many contributing factors to high housing costs. What evidence do you have that migrants are part of this problem?
Well, there's a Federal Reserve study that we're happy to share after the debate. We'll put it up on social media, actually, that really drills down on the connection between increased.
The economists are wrong,
especially illegal
except for when they say I'm right.
Now, of course, Margaret, that's not the entire driver of higher housing prices. It's also the regulatory regime of Kamala Harris. Look, we are a country of builders. We're a country of doers. We're a country of explorers. But we increasingly have a federal administration that makes it harder to develop our resources, makes it harder to build things, and wants to throw people in jail for not doing everything exactly as Kamala Harris says they have to do. And what that means is that you have a lot of people who would love to build homes who aren't able to build homes. I actually agree with Tim WALZ. We should get out of this idea of housing as a commodity. But the thing that has most turned housing into a commodity is giving it away to millions upon millions of people who have no legal right to be here.
What are the federal regulations? I deal with this as a governor.
You can very quickly reply.
I'm sorry. I get this as a governor, and I don't necessarily disagree with that in some cases, many of those are local, many of them are state. I don't know which ones are federal, but I think whenever we talk regulations, people think they can get rid of them. I think you want to be able to get out of your house in a fire. I think you want to make sure that it's fireproof and those types of things. So which are the regulations? Because the vice president's not responsible for those. Congress writes those.
Governor, thank you. Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to. You're passionate about the
That's a good point.
crisis, I can tell.
I think you should go. I think
One of the top problems facing Americans.
I think you should just go. I think you should have gone way harder on like
Senator
how
Vance,
stupid the idea
at the
is.
last presidential debate, former President Trump was
Oh, this
asked
is
about
another bad one,
increasing
too.
the Affordable Care Act. In response, he said, "I have concepts of a plan." Since then, Senator, you've talked about changing how chronically ill Americans get health insurance. Can you explain how that would work? And can you guarantee that Americans with pre-existing conditions won't pay more? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Well, of course, we're going to cover Americans with pre-existing conditions. In fact, a lot of my family members have gotten health care. I believe, members of my family actually got private health insurance, at least for the first time, switched off of Medicaid onto private insurance for the first time under Donald Trump's leadership. And I think that, a lot of people have criticized this concept.
Does Vance have a plan? No.
It's very simple common sense. I think it's Tim Walz knows from 12 years in Congress.
It's common sense to be
a 900-page bill
in office for
standing on a debate stage
10 years.
Bore everybody to tears. And it
he's been running for office for 10 years.
Give and take of bipartisan negotiation. Now, when Donald Trump was actually president, and again, he has a record to be proud of, prescription drugs fell in 2018 for the first time in a very long time. Under Kamala Harris's leadership, prescription drugs are up about 7%. Under Donald Trump's entire 4 years, they were up about 1.5%. He introduced pricing transparency. Think about
1.5%.
You go into a hospital, you try to buy something, and nobody knows what it actually costs. That price transparency will actually give American consumers a little bit more choice and will also drive down costs. And we talked about, the reinsurance regulations is what I was talking about. Look, Donald Trump has said,
do you have a plan?
Allow states to experiment a little bit on how to cover both the chronically ill, but the non-chronically ill.
Experiment?
It's not just a plan. He actually implemented some of these regulations when he was president of the United States. And I think you can make a really good argument that it salvaged Obamacare, which was doing disastrously until Donald Trump came along. I think it's the important
Trump ran on destroying Obamacare, but he saved it.
With everything that President Trump has ever said or ever done. But when Obamacare was crushing under the weight of its own regulatory burden and healthcare costs, Donald Trump could have destroyed the program. Instead, he worked in a bipartisan way to
Instead, he was stopped.
That Americans had access to affordable care. It's not perfect, of course, and there's so much more that we can do. But I think that Donald Trump has earned the right to put in place some better healthcare policies. He's earned it because he did it successfully the first time.
We should trust him.
All right, here's where
give him another 4 years.
Some history. I was there at the creation of the ACA. And the reason it was so important is I come from a major healthcare state, home of the Mayo Clinic, home to Medical Alley, 3M, Medtronic, all of those. We understand healthcare. It's why we're ranked first on affordability and accessibility and quality of healthcare. And so what I know is under Kamala Harris, more people are covered than they have before. And those of you listening, this is critical to you. Now, Donald Trump all of a sudden wants to go back and remember this. He ran on the first thing he was going to do on day one was to repeal Obamacare. On day one, he tried to sign an executive order to repeal the ACA. He signed a lawsuit to repeal the ACA, but lost at the Supreme Court. And he would have repealed the ACA had it not been for the courage of John McCain to save that bill. Now, fast forward.
Look at him smiling.
You lose your pre-existing conditions. If you're sitting at home and you got asthma, too bad. If you're a woman, probably not. Broke your foot during football, might kick you out. Your kids get kicked out when they're 26. Kamala Harris negotiated drug prices for the first time with Medicare. We have 10 drugs that will come online, the most common ones that'll be there. But look, this issue, and when Donald Trump said, I've got a concept of a plan, it cracked me up as a fourth grade teacher because my kids would have never given me that. But what Senator Vance just explained might be worse than a concept because what he explained is pre-Obamacare. And I'll make this as simple as possible because I have done this for a long time. What they're saying is—
he's cooking with this answer. It's really good.
Why should you be paying more? So what they're going to do is let insurance companies pick who they insure, because
experiment.
You pay your premium, it's not much. They figure they're not going to have to pay out to you. But those of you a little older, gray, got cancer, you're going to get kicked out of it. That's why the system didn't work. Kamala Harris will protect and enhance the ACA.
Governor, thank you. Senator, you have not yet explained how you would protect people with pre-existing conditions or laid out that plan.
Thank you so much for the 5 gifted. I really appreciate you.
And regulations in place right now that protect people with pre-existing conditions. We want to keep those regulations in place, but we also want to make the health insurance marketplace function a little bit better. Now, what
you tried to overturn those
is actually not true. A lot of what happened, and the reason that Obamacare was crushing under its own weight, is that a lot of young and healthy people were leaving the exchanges. Donald Trump actually helped address that problem, and he did so in a way that preserved people's access to coverage who had pre-existing conditions. But again, something that these guys do is they make a lot of claims about if Donald Trump becomes president, all of these terrible consequences are going to ensue. But in reality, Donald Trump was president. Inflation was low. Take-home pay was higher. And he saved the very program from a Democratic administration that was collapsing and would have collapsed.
It's kind of insane how Republicans went from we need to destroy Obamacare to Trump is the Obamacare hero.
Did enrollment under the Affordable Care Act go up under the Trump administration?
It's higher now that we've seen it go up. Look, people are using it. The system works. And the question about this of young people or whatever, that's the individual mandate piece of this. And Republicans fought tooth and nail saying, well, Americans should be free to do this. Well, then what happens?
So you think the individual mandate's a good idea?
You shrink. I think the idea of making sure the risk pool is broad enough to cover everyone, that's the only way insurance works. When it doesn't, it collapses. You are asking pre-ACA where we get people out. Look, people know that they need to be on health care. People expect it to be there. And when we are able to make it, and we are making it this way, when we incentivize people to be in the market, when we help people who might not be able to afford it get there, and we make sure then when you get sick and old, it's there for you. Because I heard people say, well, I don't want to buy into Medicare or whatever. Good luck buying health care once you get past 70. So look, the ACA works. We can continue to do better. Kamala Harris did that. The way she made everything better was negotiating those 10 drugs on Medicare for the first time in American history.
Thank you. Margaret?
Can I address that?
I apologize. We're out of time. We have a number of subjects to discuss. Margaret?
Let's talk about families in America.
Market's kind of cooking, I can't lie.
There is a child care crisis in this country, and the United States is one of the very few developed countries in the world.
My mom was on
without a
drugs.
National paid leave program for new parents. Governor WALZ, you said that if Democrats win both the White House and Congress, this is a day one priority for you. How long should employers be required to pay workers while they are home taking care of their newborns? You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's negotiable, and that's what Congress worked. But here's what the deal is. Americans sitting out there right now, you may work for a big company. Look, we're home in Minnesota to some of the largest Fortune 500 companies. Kamala Harris knows that in California. Those companies provide paid family and medical leave. One is, I think they're moral and they think it's a good thing, but it also keeps their employees healthy. We in Minnesota passed a paid family and medical leave. You have a child, and I had to go back to work 5 days after my kids were born. This allows you to stay home a certain amount of time. What we know is that gets the child off to a better start, the family works better, we stay in their employers, we get more consistency in that. So Kamala Harris has made it a priority. We implemented it in Minnesota, and we see growth. That's how you become a pro-business state. But the negotiations on it, and here's the issue, those big companies are able to offer it. Those of you out there who don't have it, just imagine what happens if you get cancer or your child gets sick. We know what happens. You end up staying home. In some places, that means no paycheck because you've got no protection on that. This is the case of an economy that Donald Trump has set for the wealthiest amongst us.
Chat, they're kind of cooking Vance.
To give those tax breaks to the wealthiest. He's willing to say
the whole debate.
Unions up.
Look up, pussy boy.
What we're saying is the economy works best when it works for all of us. And so a paid
it's real
program, and I will tell you, go to the families,
it's so real,
businesses, and ask them. As far as childcare on this, you have to take it at both the supply and the demand side. You can't expect the most important people in our lives to take care of our children or our parents to get paid the least amount of money. And we have to make it easier for folks to be able to get into that business and then to make sure that folks are able to pay for that. We were able to do it in Minnesota, and I'm still telling you this. We were listed as the best state. We're still in crisis on this. A federal program of paid family and medical leave and help with this will enhance our workforce, enhance our families, and make it easier to have the children that you want.
Governor, your time is up. Senator, do you support a national paid leave program? And if so, for how long should employers be mandated to pay their employees while they are home taking care of their newborn? You have 2 minutes.
His ass does not support this shit.
My Republican colleagues and some Democrats too have worked on this issue, and I think there is a bipartisan solution here because a lot of us care about this issue. I mean, look, I speak from this very personally because I'm married to a beautiful woman who is an incredible mother to our 3 beautiful kids, but is also a very, very brilliant corporate litigator, and I'm so proud of her. But being a working mom, even for somebody with all of the advantages of my wife, is extraordinarily difficult. And it's not just difficult from a policy perspective. She actually had access to paid family leave because she worked for a bigger company, but the cultural pressure on young families and especially young women, I think makes it really hard for people to choose the family model they want. A lot of young women would like to go back to work immediately. Some would like to spend a little time home with the kids. Some would like to spend longer at home with the kids. We should have a family care model that makes choice possible. And I think this is a very important substantive difference between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris's approach. I mean, look, if you look at the federal programs that we have that support paid family leave right now, the Community Development Block Grant, and there's another block grant program that spends a lot of money from the federal government. These programs only go to one kind of child care model. Let's say you'd like your church maybe to help you out with child care. Maybe you live in a rural area.
Okay, then let them do that.
Together with families in your neighborhood to provide child care in the way that makes the most sense. You don't get
you can do that
any of these federal monies. We want to promote choice in how we deliver family care and how we promote child care, because look, it is unacceptable. And you know, of course, Tim and I have been on
you could just do that
the past 7 or 8 weeks, and one of the biggest complaints I hear from young families is people who feel like they don't have options, like they're choosing between going to work or taking care for their kids. That is an incredible burden to put on American families. We're the only country that does it. I think we could do a heck of a lot better.
Senator, thank you. You have also said, Senator Vance, many things about the American family. The Federal Reserve says parents will spend nearly as much on child care as they do on housing each month. So I want to get your thoughts on this. President Trump
if they hit him on the things that he said about women.
Child care is talked about as being expensive. It's relatively speaking not very expensive compared to the kinds of numbers we'll be taking in.
It's so funny because Vance lies and pretends to be the thing people think Republicans are.
That you have described.
And Trump just is what Republicans are. I
just want to defend my running mate here a little bit, is that we're going to be taking in a lot of money by penalizing companies for shipping jobs overseas and penalizing countries who employ slave labor.
No, he called you a fucking liar, so.
Products back into our country and undercut the wages of American workers. It's the heart of the Donald Trump economic plan. Cut taxes for American workers and American families. Cut taxes for businesses that are hiring and building companies in the United States of America, but penalize companies and countries that are shipping jobs overseas. That's the heart of the economic proposal. And I think what President Trump is saying is that when we bring in this additional revenue with higher economic growth, we're going to be able to provide paid family leave, child care options that are viable and workable for a lot of American families.
That did not help.
Can you clarify how that will solve the child care shortage?
Yeah, can you spin back on that?
Well, because as Tim said, a lot of the child care shortage is we just don't have enough resources going into the multiple people who could be providing family care options. And we're going to have to, unfortunately, look, we're going to have to spend more money. We're going to have to induce more people to want to provide child care options for American families, because the reason it's so expensive right now is because you've got way too few people providing this very essential service.
Thank you, Senator. Governor WALZ, your ticket also has some child care tax credit proposals. Do you think Congress will agree to the $6,000 credit for newborns and $3,000 credit for children over the age of 6, as your campaign has promised?
Well, if Vance isn't lying about the Republicans, then of course they will.
Listen to anybody, I can tell you, and this is the biggest issue. Everybody listening tonight knows. I mean, I'm sure they were shocked to hear it's not that expensive. And let's be clear, whether it's $5,000 or $6,000, that pays you about 3 or 4 months. Let's be clear of where we're at on this. It's because we got out of an imbalance on this. We thought we were going to get by not paying people. I don't think Senator Vance and I are that far apart. I'm not opposed to what he's talking about on options. We've done scholarships types of things. I think we need to be open to making the case. But the issue here is, the question you asked is, you're not going to pay for it with these tariffs. That's just adding another $4,000 on the family and taking less. So not only do they not get the money to pay for that, they're $4,000 in the hole. That's Wharton School. That's his alma mater. And so I think the issue here is, if those members of Congress, I can't believe they're not. When I go to businesses, sure, they'll talk about taxes sometime, but they will lead with childcare and they will lead with housing, because we know the problem is, especially in a state like Minnesota, we need more workers because our economy's growing, but we need the workforce.
Governor, thank you. We need to move on. Nora?
Let's talk about the state of democracy, the top issue for Americans after the economy.
I can't believe they didn't bring up the things he said about women. He really should have.
Trump's campaign and others filed 62 lawsuits contesting the results. Judges, including those of
this is another bad topic for him.
And other Republican presidents, looked at the evidence and said there was no widespread fraud. The governors of every state in the nation, Republicans and Democrats, certified the 2020 election results.
And you said you would overturn it.
Slate of electors to Congress for January 6th. Senator Vance, you have said you would not have certified the last presidential election and would have asked the states to submit alternative electors. That has been called unconstitutional and illegal. Would you again seek to challenge
JD Vance, you are a criminal.
Even if every governor certifies the results? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Well, Nora, first of all, I think that we're focused on the future. We need to figure out how to solve the inflation crisis caused by Kamala Harris's policies, make housing affordable, make groceries affordable, and that's what we're focused on. But I want to answer your question because you did ask it. Look, what President Trump has said is that there were problems in 2020, and my own belief is that we should fight about those issues, debate those issues peacefully in the public square, and that's all I've said, and that's all that Donald Trump has
debate
said.
the issues of stealing the election.
Protesters ought to protest peacefully. And on January the 20th, what happened? Joe Biden became the president, Donald Trump left the White House, and now, of course, unfortunately, we have all of the negative policies that have come from the Harris-Biden administration. I believe that we actually do have a threat to democracy in this country, but unfortunately, it's not the threat to democracy that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz want to talk about. It is the threat of censorship. It's Americans casting aside lifelong friendships because of disagreements over politics. It's big
this is Twitter
silencing their fellow citizens, and it's Kamala Harris.
There's a Twitter talking point.
Rather than debate and persuade her fellow Americans, she'd like to censor people who engage in misinformation. I think that is a much bigger threat to democracy.
She wants to stop people who engage in misinformation. Oh no!
Years. Now, I'm really proud, especially given that I was raised by two lifelong blue-collar Democrats, to have the endorsement of Bobby Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, lifelong leaders.
Bro, who gives a shit?
Of course,
leader? That's crazy.
Donald Trump on every issue. We don't have to agree on every issue.
That's crazy.
United behind a basic American First Amendment principle that we ought to debate our differences. We ought to argue about them. We ought to try to persuade our fellow Americans. Kamala Harris is engaged in censorship at an industrial scale. She did.
What does that mean?
She's done it over a number of other issues, and that to me is a much bigger.
The Twitter block industrial complex.
Donald Trump said when he said that protesters should peacefully protest on January the 6th.
Governor?
Well, I've enjoyed tonight's debate, and I think there was a lot of commonality here, and I'm sympathetic to misspeaking on things, and I think I might have with the senator. But
me too, man.
There's one though that this one is troubling to me, and I say
we be saying shit, dog.
We need to tell the story. Donald Trump refused to acknowledge this, and the fact is that I don't think we can be the frog in the pot and let the boiling water go up. He was very clear. I mean, he lost this election, and he said he didn't. 140 police officers were beaten at the Capitol that day, some with the American flag, several later died. And it wasn't just in there. In Minnesota, a group gathered on the state capitol grounds in St. Paul and said, we're marching to the governor's residence and there may be casualties. The only person there was my son and his dog, who was rushed out crying by state police. That issue, and Mike Pence standing there as they were chanting, hang Mike Pence. Mike Pence made the right decision. So, Senator, it was adjudicated over and over and over. I worked with kids long enough to know, and I said,
Trump actually got bored and stopped watching the debate.
But the democracy is bigger than winning an election. You shake hands, and then you try and do everything you can to help the other side win.
He's not even tweeting about it anymore.
That's what was at stake here. Now, the thing I'm most concerned about is the idea that imprisoning your political opponents, already laying the groundwork for people not accepting this. And a president's words matter. A president's words matter. People hear that. So I think this issue of settling our differences at the ballot box, shaking hands when we lose, being honest about it, but to deny what happened on January 6th, the first time in American history that a president or anyone tried to overturn a fair election and the peaceful transfer of power. And here we are 4 years later in the same boat. I will tell you this, that when this is over, we need to shake hands this election, and the winner needs to be the winner. This has got to stop. It's tearing our country apart.
Margaret?
Senator Vance, did you want to respond to that?
Yeah, well, look, Tim, first of all, it's really rich for Democratic leaders to say that
Joe, you were mean to Joe Biden.
Peacefully gave over power on January the 20th, as we have done for 250 years in this country. We are going to shake hands after this debate and after this
January 6th.
Of course,
that was not peaceful.
Win, and I think we're going to win. But if Tim Walz is the next vice president, he'll have my prayers, he'll have my best wishes, and he'll have my help whenever he wants it. But we have to remember that for years in this country, Democrats protested the results of elections. Hillary Clinton in 2016 said that Donald Trump had the election stolen by Vladimir Putin because the Russians bought like $500,000 worth of Facebook ads. This has been going on for a long time. And if we want to say that we need to respect the results of the election,
you're just going to downplay Russia being involved in our elections?
Just a problem that Republicans have had. I don't buy that.
Governor.
January 6th was not Facebook ads. And I think a revisionist history on this. Look, I don't understand how we got to this point. But the issue was that happened. Donald Trump can do it. And all of us say there's no place for this. It has massive repercussions. This idea that there's censorship to stop people from threatening to kill someone, threatening to do something, that's not censorship. Censorship is book banning. We've seen that brought up. I just think for everyone tonight, and I'm going to thank Senator Vance. I think this is the conversation they want to hear, and I think there's a lot of agreement, but this is one that we are miles apart on. This was a threat to our democracy in a way that we had not seen, and it manifested itself because of Donald Trump's inability to say. He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
It's a damning non-answer for you to not talk about censorship. Obviously, Donald Trump and I think that there were
Kamala Harris blocked me on Twitter.
We talked about it. I'm happy to talk about it further. But you guys attack us.
She didn't accept my DM request and blocked me on Twitter.
The most sacred right.
She can't be president.
Democracy is the First Amendment. You yourself have said there's no First Amendment right to misinformation. Kamala Harris wants to use the power of government and big tech to silence people from speaking their minds. That is not democracy that will long outlive this present political moment. I would like Democrats and Republicans to both reject.
Did Elon Musk help him with like debate performance?
Let's argue about ideas and then let's come together afterwards.
You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. That's the test. That's the Supreme Court test.
Tim, fire in a crowded theater. You guys wanted to kick people off of Facebook for saying that toddlers shouldn't wear a mask.
Why are we talking about Facebook?
Fire in a crowded theater. That is criticizing the policies of the government, which is the right of every American.
Senator, the governor does have the floor for 1 minute to respond to you.
Yeah. Well, I don't run Facebook. What I do know is I see a candidate out there who refused, and now again, and this I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we tried to overturn the election.
This is
and kill the representatives.
It's not anything.
But you banned them on Facebook.
In Donald Trump's world, because look, when Mike Pence made that decision to certify that election, that's why Mike Pence isn't on this stage. What I'm concerned about is where is the firewall with Donald Trump? Where is the firewall if he knows he could do anything, including taking an election, and his vice president's not going to stand to it? That's what we're asking you, America. Will you stand up? Will you keep your oath of office even if the president doesn't. And I think Kamala Harris would agree. She wouldn't have picked me if she didn't think I would do that, because of course that's what we would do. So America, I think you've got a really clear choice on this election of who's going to honor that democracy and who's going to honor Donald Trump.
Governor, your time is up. Thank you, gentlemen.
That's a pretty good answer.
We'll be right back with both of our candidates. The CBS News vice presidential debate continues.
All right. I think this thing's still going on. Oh, man. I think WALZ is doing pretty good. I think this is going to be one of those, I think it's going to be one of those near 50-50 debates. Honestly. I mean, think about this. There were some, what's it called? I'm thinking again. Focus groups. There. I've completely forgot the name. There's some focus groups after the Trump-Harris debate where some people came back and they were like, oh, Trump actually won like 50-40 against Harris in the debate. And I was like, okay, dog. It doesn't seem like that's a popular opinion. I feel like this debate's gonna come out as 50-50, but I think Harris and WALZ are going to come out with way more clips out of this. They're going to come out with way more clips out of this. The abortion answers, that one's really bad. Vance shrugging when WALZ said he cared about teenagers not getting pregnant. That one was kind of crazy. His non-answer on whether or not he tried to overturn the election and instead talking about Facebook memes. Wild. That's a damning, that quote, that's a damning non-answer. He shrugged? Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's a damning non-answer. You're gonna see that one a lot more. I know you're gonna see that one a lot more. Yeah, I guess we're not gonna get into, I don't know, like we might, but I guess we're not gonna get into the like military thing, like Vance trying to say horrible things about Vance trying to say horrible things about WALZ's military career. Maybe he's just trying to drop that. Vance like talking about Haitian migrants again, like him bringing up the cats and dogs thing. That one was pretty bad. That one was really bad. I think this is gonna come out to a lot of people. Like the sides are going to pick their sides. The sides are going to pick their sides. I think the thing that'll do work after this debate for Vance, I think his approval rating is going to go up definitely. Mostly because people are going to see him more, and the conservatives are going to be pulling some of his better clips here. Well, maybe, I don't know. We will see. But I think the things that's going to do work here is the fact that he is able to stay on message a lot more than Trump was, because Trump wasn't able to do it at all. He wasn't able to do it at all, actually. Trump made inflation down. Harris made inflation up, and WALZ wasn't able to hit back on the borders are thing that like literally isn't real. I think that would have been great here in this debate. Specifically because there's a lot of people who don't know what that means and who get tricked into believing that Kamala Harris had more roles on the border than she actually did. Like there's a lot of people out there who genuinely believe that that Kamala Harris was in a higher point in office on the border than like the DHS secretary. Like if Kamala Harris was the quote unquote border czar, what the hell does like what does like Mayorkas do? Who's he? Yeah, he's like the border secretary, but what does the border czar do? What is that? What is that? What even is that? What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's just something that they made up, but he didn't touch on that. Harris didn't touch on that either, and I really think they should have. So I think this debate is gonna have like some legs for Vance, specifically for the message, like the Trump message. But when it comes to specifically yeah, I think WALZ got a lot of great points out, honestly. That the Vance saying you promised not to fact check, that's gonna have some legs for them. Yeah.
Debate. It is now time for the closing statements.
Here we go.
Vance won the virtual coin toss and elected to go last. So, Governor WALZ, you are first. You have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you, Senator Vance. Thank you to CBS News. And most importantly, thank you to all of you. If you're still up and the folks who miss Dancing with Our Stars, I appreciate it. But look, the support.
And the fact that Vance has to like wrangle crazy things Trump says a lot. Yeah, I don't know.
Surprised as anybody of this coalition that Kamala Harris has built, from Bernie Sanders to Dick Cheney to Taylor Swift, and a whole bunch of folks in between there.
He's Brett.
And they don't all agree on everything, but they are truly optimistic people. They believe in a positive future of this country and one where our politics can be better than it is. And I have to tell you, that better than it is the sense of optimism that there can be an opportunity economy that works for everyone, not just to get by, but to get ahead. And the idea that freedom really means something. Not the freedom of government to be in your bedroom or exam room, but the freedom for you to make choices about yourself. Now, look, we all know who Donald Trump is. He's told us, and as Maya Angelou said, believe him when he told you that. His first inaugural address talked about American carnage, and then he spent 4 years trying to maybe do that. Senator Vance tonight made it clear he will stand with Donald Trump's agenda. He will continue to push down that road. Excuse me. Kamala Harris gives us a different option. Now, I'll have to tell you, I'm going to be careful about the quotes, but there's one that Senator Vance said that does resonate with me. He said, Donald Trump makes the people I care about afraid. A lot of America feels that way. We don't need to be afraid. Franklin Roosevelt was right. All we have to fear is fear itself. Kamala Harris is bringing us a new way forward. She's bringing us a politics of joy. She's bringing real solutions for the middle class, and she's centering you at the heart of that. All the while asking everyone, join this movement, make your voices heard. Let's look for a new day where everybody gets that opportunity and everybody gets a chance to thrive. I humbly ask for your vote on November 5th for Kamala Harris.
Governor WALZ, thank you. Senator Vance,
that's pretty good.
Statement.
He's gonna
Governor WALZ,
immigration
folks at CBS, and of course
brown people
for tuning in this evening. And one of the issues we didn't talk about was energy. And I remember when I was being raised by my grandmother, when she didn't have enough money to turn on the heat some nights.
My mom took drugs.
Ohio gets pretty cold at night, and because money was often very tight. And I believe, as a person who wants to be your next vice president, that we are a rich and prosperous enough country where every American, whether they're
rich and prosperous,
wow, be able to turn on their heat in the middle of a cold winter night. That's gotten more difficult thanks to Kamala Harris's energy policies. I believe that whether you're rich or poor, you ought to be able to afford a nice meal for your family. That's gotten harder because of Kamala Harris's policies. I believe that whether you're rich or poor, you ought to be able to afford to buy a house. You ought to be able to live in safe neighborhoods. You ought to not have your communities flooded with fentanyl, and that too has gotten harder with because of Kamala Harris's policies. Now, I've been in politics long enough to do what Kamala Harris does when she stands before the American people and says that on day one, she's going to work on all these challenges I just listed. She's been the vice president for 3.5 years. Day one was 1,400 days ago, and her policies have made these problems worse. Now, I believe that we have the most beautiful country in the world. I meet people on the campaign trail who can't afford food, but have the grace and generosity to ask me how I'm doing and to tell me they're praying for my family. What that has taught me is that we have the greatest country, the most beautiful country, the most incredible people anywhere in the world. But they're not going to be.
This is so funny because Trump actually can never talk like this.
Leadership that we have in Washington. They're not going to be able to live their American dream if we do the same.
It's a crazy
thing we've been doing for the last 3.5 years. We need change. We need a new direction. We need a president who has already done this once before and did it well. Please vote for Donald Trump. And whether you vote for me or vote for Tim Walz, I just want to say I'm so proud to be doing this, and I'm rooting for you. God bless you, and good night.
Senator Vance, thank you.
He had to throw the God bless you in because Trump already, because Walz already hit the Bible quote
of this election cycle. I'm Margaret Brennan.
All right. I think Margaret was kind of cooking there. I can't lie. All right. That was the debate, everyone. That was the debate. Okay. Yeah, Vance did a whole lot better than Trump, but that's not really saying much because Trump had a mental breakdown during the debate, which was kind of crazy. The debate. So yeah, he did. Yeah, he definitely did better. Don't be fooled and think that he did worse. Yeah, you're absolutely gonna see people say he did better. I can expect his approval rating to go up. I'm gonna start with the good things for him right now, so we get out of the way. he stayed on message way better than Trump did. He's doing the things that Trump like attempted to do after he already got wound up. The problem, the huge problem is he's a massive Trump glazer, and he tries to do the it's the version of Trump that your average like non-tuned in voter tries to imagine Trump as, is like he says some crazy things sometimes, but I mean when it comes down to it, like he makes some okay decisions. He makes some okay decisions, I guess. That's what Vance is trying to give off. The problem is that this won't have that long of if Vance was at the top of the ticket, I think this can have longer legs. This literally cannot have longer legs, because every single time that Vance tries to do one of those like good boy Republican things, Trump is asked about it the next day, and Trump literally says, I've never talked to Vance about this, and we're going to do something different. And also, migrants are going to rape your daughter, and migrants tried to rape me a second ago. And that's why we got to put them in the blender. So it just cannot have that long of legs for the Trump campaign. It just cannot, because Trump is just going to undo every good thing that Trump did. Sorry, Trump is gonna outdo literally every good thing that Vance did for them in this debate. Hong Kong is trending on Twitter. It is. So I think this. So I think so. There was some reporting that WALZ can sometimes be overly defensive in debates, and I mean, from what I've heard, I agree with that too. Because I watched like his previous gubernatorial debates, his debates, and he was overly defensive in this like Hong Kong thing too. It was just ridiculous. He's always been way too overly defensive on all that type of stuff. Really, he had a good answer a while ago when it came to Vance saying crazy things about his military career. And he's like, I'm not going to engage with that. He should care about military members. Trump did this, and this bad to, service members. They got brain injuries, and he called it headaches, right? Suckers and losers and whatnot, right? He's a loser. I like people who win, stuff like that. Oh my Lord. Sorry. So him like, I'm going to say it, rambling about the Hong Kong thing made it seem like it was a way bigger thing than it actually was, right? Because it's always like this with every single thing that people bring up about WALZ. It's really weird because people will be like, WALZ, you said, well, Republicans will be like, you said this, but actually that happened. And then he'll be like, well, and then he'll ramble on for like 5 minutes, okay? And then at the end about like, oh, sometimes I make mistakes and sometimes I say things that aren't right, and I love defending my country. And then he'll come back, he'll spin back on it and be like, but actually the thing that they're accusing me of isn't true, and like here's the proof that it didn't actually happen. Like, why would you give us that whole soliloquy when your ass could literally just be like, yeah, it's not true. And yeah, like what they said about me literally just not true. Maybe it's a Midwest thing. Maybe it is a Midwest thing. I don't know. The over-explaining on those topics is just kind of crazy. Like when she re-asked the question, like, can you answer that? And he was like, yeah, like I was doing trips to and from China during the protest that caused Tiananmen Square. So yeah, I saw all of that. That's really easily explainable. That's really easily explainable. It's really easy. It's like so easy. Some of the things that I see people say that the WALZ like quote unquote misspoke about, bro, he didn't even misspeak. He's just the things he said were literally just true. It kind of flabbergasts me. I'm gonna be honest with you. It kind of flabbergasts me because on the things about his military service, like the Republicans tried to hit him on this thing. I'm not sure if you guys saw this. Some of you all saw it, some of you didn't. they tried to hit him on this thing where he said that he carried weapons in war. Okay, he said he carried weapons in war. That was the quote, right? And then Republicans hit him on that and said that, well, you didn't you weren't in Afghanistan or Iraq. You never went to Afghanistan or Iraq as a soldier, which is true, right? Which then WALZ would give like a weird rambling answer about it, and then he'd say, and then sometimes they misspeak and all this stuff, and then he'll say, but I did actually carry weapons in war because I was stationed during the Iraq invasion in Europe, just not in like Iraq. I was stationed for the war in a defensive posture in an allied nation while they were assisting us in war and helping assist the like defensive positions in Europe. It's like, that is carrying, and he was carrying a weapon. He was indeed carrying weapons in war. Like, it's not, it just kind of blows my mind how he'll just like ramble on. It's just weird. He'll ramble on telling the truth. he'll like apologize for telling the truth. It's super weird. But on the important stuff, I think he was pretty good. He stayed on message pretty well. I think he really could have gotten some more like body blows on, like, just peppering throughout the debate, body blows on like crazy things that Vance has said about women, about Trump, like calling him America's Hitler, calling him like heroin as well, like repeating, like just drilling into people's head. Even Vance saying that like Donald Trump's policies did nothing for the working class, did nothing for normal Americans. So on one hand, he's going to say that, oh, I noticed all the good things that Donald Trump was doing for me and my family. But also on the other hand, how does that coincide with you saying back before you were trying to like suck the shit out of his ass to get the VP spot? How does that coincide with you now saying, oh yeah, I noticed all the great things that he was doing? Oh no. No. I think we got a little left there. Chat, are we back? Marco? Polo? Okay, we're good. Refresh. Nice to see you. Okay, so anyways, before Vance saying on the debate stage, oh, I saw all these great things that Trump was doing for me and my family while he was in office, like 4 years ago. I saw the great things that he was doing. Right? He's saying that on the debate stage now that he has the VP thing. Now that he has the VP nomination. But before when he actually was just a citizen, before he was a senator, before he was trying to suck the shit straight out of Trump's ass to get the VP spot, how does that coincide with you saying that Trump has done nothing for the working class people? Trump is leading white working class people astray. He never held to any of his promises. He's America's Hitler. He's American heroin on the working class. These are really hard hitting things that you're saying. These are crazy things that he's saying about these are absolutely crazy things that he's saying about Trump. But now, like, your opinion just radically changed. So are you lying now, or were you lying to yourself then? So you're telling me that you saw all the great things Trump was doing for you and your family in real life, but the internet and the media told you that the orange man was bad, so you just believed it. So you're just gullible and won't believe what's going on in front of your very eyes until it's like beneficial for you politically or monetarily. So you're either lying now or you're lying then. Pick one. Which one was it? And he's gonna be like, oh well, I wasn't lying. I mean, like, the media, they banned me on Facebook, and I just had to because WALZ hitting him on the January 6th is not Facebook. That line went crazy. WALZ had some pretty good hits in there. WALZ had some pretty good hits. I'm gonna be honest with you. When WALZ said we believe in the Second Amendment, but our first is taking care of our kids. That one went kind of crazy. I can see that one getting played a lot. That quote's gonna have some legs. And it's really easy for, once again, it's easy for WALZ and Harris to be able to have good quotes from the campaign have legs because, you know, Harris actually believes this shit. Vance is just saying it to trick people into getting his. Are we gone again, chat? I'm not Marco? I'm not dropping any frames on. That's so weird because I wasn't dropping any frames on my end. I dropped some frames there for a moment. See, now you can see why I wasn't streaming. The internet has been so horribly shaky since the hurricane hit. It's just been horrible. Hope you're safe. Yeah, Alec, I saw. I'll make sure to check some DMs. Sorry, I've just been so out of it. I've just been so out of it. What's this? Oh yeah, I saw this one. This one was really funny. This one was really funny.
So we move.
Moderator, in 2017, you called Trump America's Hitler. What changed? JD Vance.
So we moved to LA. My father gets a job at the Palm Restaurant. My Uncle Junior works there, who is a Jehovah's Witness, believe it or not. He went from Catholic to Jehovah. So basically, my grandmother wanted us all to switch from Catholic to Jehovah. You know, meanwhile, we're from Harlem. My father's doing coke. You know, my mother thinks she's Aunt Margaret. She's...
My mom was doing fentanyl. My mom sold me as a animatronics to a Chuck E. Cheese to buy fentanyl. And that's why I love Donald Trump. So true. So true. Frank Lunds is saying that his the focus group broke for Vance 10-2. He said his focus group turned against the moderators. Holy shit, he doesn't have a single black person here at all. Wait a second. Wait, I just noticed that. Wait, this is Frank Lunds's focus group. No, he has one, my bad. He found the one black guy in Arizona. That's crazy. So his opinion means a lot, actually, because he constitutes like 1/10 of the black vote in Arizona. There's one there. This guy just got a tan. Oh my lord. So one black person, 3 women in the 14-person panel. All right, you go, Frank. Yeah, let's see how that goes. Like I said, I think this wasn't like the Trump debate where conservatives were literally just reeling. I know it was difficult for WALZ. I know a lot of people wanted WALZ to just kind of like Vance, but I just think that it would be better. I do genuinely think that it would be better if he didn't. I think it turned out better if he didn't. I think a lot of people I think it was really good for WALZ to stick to the talking points, like jab Trump in in ways where it's really hard for Vance to answer, like on the crazy things he said about women, the crazy things he said about abortion, the crazy things he said about Trump's policies, like hear it from his own vice president's mouth how bad Trump's presidency actually was. I think if he would have stuck to that, I think he would have done much better in this debate, and it would have been as lopsided as the Harris debate. I think this one's gonna be around like 50-50. And I don't really think that's necessarily bad. Mind you, Trump gained points in the points on Biden after his last debate. Trump gained points on Biden in his last debate in 2020, right? And that one came up to like, I think it was like 50, 55, 45, or maybe like 53, 47 or something with who won Biden versus Trump in Biden's favor. Trump did a whole lot way better in that debate, at least like statistically.
So I've become friends with school.
Me when I get added to the group chat.
I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. So
oh my gosh. JD Vance got Jesse Waters' pussy wet. Did you see this? Look at this.
Oops. He said he was in China during Tiananmen Square. I wasn't in China. That's pretty bad.
He was actually in China. See, this is why WALZ shouldn't have like WALZ shouldn't have rambled on it. He should have been like, yeah, when I was in the military, when I was in the National Guard, I was a part of a program that took people to and back from China to learn for like diversity and to learn about Chinese people. During that time, the democracy protest that led to Tiananmen Square was happening. And so, yes, I was in and working deeply with Chinese people and was even in China around that time that it happened, right? And so, yeah, around the time that it happened. So I was in China when Tiananmen Square, when the actual like powder keg that led to the explosion of Tiananmen Square happened. I was literally there. I don't think he was like in the borders of China when it happened, but he was literally going back and forth to and from China while the democracy protests were happening. He was Tank Man. It was a really weird answer, but I'm glad they didn't ask more questions about like the horrible things WALZ said about, the horrible things Vance said about WALZ's military service, because WALZ would have rambled too much. He really would have. WALZ was Tank Man. Bang. He would have, I think he would have just rambled too much. I don't know why, but it was a great talking point for, I don't know why, but it was a good talking point for him, to be like, they try to bring up these supposed inconsistencies with the things I've said when they dig into it, they realize that they're wrong. When him and Trump lie constantly and then brought up the lies that he said on the debate stage. I think that would have been great. He didn't do it though. He was way more measured. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. A lot of people are like, oh, WALZ should have like totally went at Trump. Sorry, WALZ should have totally went at Vance there in the debate, like go really hard. I just don't think it was the time for it. Because Vance was going to play the victim if he did. He was going to play the victim really hard. And since the moderators weren't going to be fact checking that much and they didn't have that much back and forth, he might even be able to get away with it. And especially the fact that he had the last word in the debate, WALZ could have very easily come off as like overly aggressive. Now because of that, it's possible that he came off as like overly defensive, right? But I'm not sure if that's necessarily as bad of a thing as coming off as like irritating, because people wanted to see more of a calmer, measured debate that like reminds them of 2008, right? The problem is Vance can hold up the mask, but Trump can't. And so that's why I don't think this is going to have legs for him. I think it's going to have legs for his like approval rating. I think it'll jump. But I think it'll jump. I think he's still going to be quite underwater and still the most disliked person in the race. I don't think that's really going to change, especially with the crazy things he said on the debate stage. Yeah. We can fix school shootings by installing bulletproof windows on schools. Okay. Okay. But you know, when kids are getting shot in school, they're getting the shooters in the school. You know that, right? How would the bulletproof glass work for the kids once the shooter's already in the school? How does that happen? How do you do that? NT Lou, thank you so much for the sub. Join the frenzy and being incredibly pog. I appreciate you. Thank you. But yeah, Vance would have played like the wounded puppy, like dog with the hurt leg thing if WALZ would have really got at him. I just don't think it was good for him to go at him. I think it's unfortunate because he had to play into WALZ's game of trying to desperately make himself seem more likable and less of a monster than he actually is. Which I think he did work there. But he's still going to be an anchor on Trump. And I think WALZ got some. WALZ got some pretty good hits. But yeah, obviously, I think Fox News is gonna be like, oh my gosh, Vance, he's such a king.
JD Vance, everybody thought this guy was a bad guy. They were saying he was a creep.
He is.
He looked beautiful tonight. He looked humble.
Dude, I'm telling you, Vance really did get his pussy wet. He said beautiful. I'm not even sure if he calls his wife that constantly. What?
He looked beautiful tonight. He looked humble, earnest, sharp.
I would overturn the election.
20 years younger than WALZ, new generation. I thought he was very polished. And then WALZ didn't do what WALZ was supposed to do.
What was that?
He didn't help with men tonight.
Was he supposed to do that?
Explained what Kamala's policies are.
Are you stupid? He never explained. He actually just wasn't listening. Bro, was he jerking off instead of listening? Holy crap, he really wasn't listening. You can say that Kamala's policies won't work, but he really, he explained it. My man was not listening at all. He was just kind of jerking off when Vance started talking. That's crazy. We're going to immediately reduce housing prices by drilling oil on public land and then building houses on that same public land. Okay. And he's like, oh my gosh, what a good idea.
You guys get that? I still don't know what she wants to do. And then he talked about Minnesota more than he talked about her. JD's best times were when he said, well,
it's called an example.
Housing costs are up now. Groceries up now. Borders open now. She's in power now. Why doesn't she fix it? She can do it right now, and she hasn't. The best line is when he said Trump doesn't have just a plan. He has a record. And you can look at the record. And then he said, we're going to restore the American dream. CBS was terrible. Second question.
What does restore the American dream? Trump's plans are immaculate. Restore the American dream. Be up bigly. Stop war. War bad. We have him trying to spin concepts of a plan. That's just kind of desperate. I can't lie. I know that we're fiending to hopefully fix that. I know they're fiending to fix the concepts of a plan. I don't think people are going to remember. I don't think he doesn't only have concepts of a plan. He has a record. I don't think that's going to go over well, honestly. I don't think that's going to fix what Trump did that day. I'm going to be real with you. The spin, he was spinning in his seat.
Question on climate change. You guys should have been doing this debate. That would
fuck climate change? Yeah, see, this is why they asked the question on climate change. He said, oh, second question on climate change? What? Ew. Okay, yeah, that's why they asked the question on climate change, because you people are crazy. What was this? CBS afterwards.
And then I think at the very end of the debate, we saw something extraordinary. Tim Walz asked J.D. Vance if Donald Trump lost the election. He was incapable of answering that simple yes-no question. J.D. Vance can only get so far from the man at the top of the ticket, and that was on display in that one moment. Yeah, that's very, very true.
That's basically what I said. Vance is trying to portray Trump as something different than what he is, but Trump is like a demon, and it's just not possible for him to contain all that. For a night, for maybe a moment in the debate, possibly. Oh my gosh, dude. The Republicans saying that Vance had the best debate performance in recent memory. Vance had the best debate in presidential history. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. All right, buddy.
Ability to say he is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
Has she?
Are you going to overturn the election for your own? Are you going to steal the election for your own game? Did Kamala Harris block Biden Killer 445 on Twitter? Curious. Oh, okay. All right. They're deep in the slop. He's a muddy little piggy playing in his dirty little hole. Mods? It was really funny how Vance was like, mods? You said you were gonna fact check.
Thank you, Governor. And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status, temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important
we're
because
going to turn now to the economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
the rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check. And
Margaret, you promised me you wouldn't tell me I'm wrong. Margaret! Margaret! Please! Oh yeah, they didn't talk about. Oh wait, no, they did talk about Ukraine. I was like, did they not talk about Ukraine? No, they did. Somebody was saying they didn't talk about Ukraine. They absolutely did. Margaret! The great. Why would Margaret do this to me? How could Margaret do this to me? So yeah, interesting stuff. I think WALZ, but to wrap up, I think WALZ did well. I think Vance did what he was trying to do. I think Vance did what he was trying to do. He stayed on message a lot more, and it was more impactful than what Trump did, because Trump can't do it. The only problem is you're not going to be seeing much more of Vance after this. And when he's not able to like spin in his seat like crazy, his words will do the talking for him for what he said in the past, and that just won't end well for him. It just really won't. So I don't know. We'll just have to see. I think this will come out like around 50-50. I think we're going to see a lot of polls that are like completely mixed on this, but we'll see. Hey, Kit. Nice to see you. Mods? Yo, did you see that there was like a Harris WALZ event and a Trump supporter showed up and then pulled down their pants and started like slapping their bare ass and like and shaking their like MAGA meat at the protest? It was like not the protest at the organizers. It was so weird. They were doing that shit crazy style. They spread their cheeks and was mooning with their dirty booty hole. What? Yes, it was so weird. Elaborate? I can't say any more than that. That's literally what happened. That's just actually what happened. He was like, the Trump supporter turned around, pulled down their pants, and started like flashing their butthole like a friendly cat at the Harris WALZ supporters. It was so weird. Was it a man? I'm pretty sure it was a woman. She was flashing the MAGA taint. It was kind of scary. It was kind of scary. I'm just not. Here's the thing. I'm just kind of thinking about this. I don't know if there chat. Can you think of any like one moment where Vance really like handed it to WALZ? I can't really think of anything where they like really were like, oh man, I was like, oh man, WALZ needs to come back at that one. I don't know. I don't really know. It just seemed like it seemed a lot like WALZ would say something good, and then Vance would be. And then Vance would be like, yeah, Republicans need to do a lot. I think a lot of Republicans needed to. Oh, yeah, I don't know. I'm starting to remember. Yeah, like him being like, oh, Republicans actually kind of suck ass on this issue. And then weren't there like 3 topics where Vance had to be like, yeah, Republicans have been bad on this and this and this to the American people, and we need to win their trust back? I don't know. Like that's going to be a little harder to be able to come to just, overcome. That one's going to be harder to overcome because that's going to have a lot of legs. Like Vance admitting on abortion, that one's really bad. Vance admitting that the Republicans like suck ass, but Trump is different than the Republicans. I don't know. Trump is different than the rest of the Republicans. He's going to protect you, but the Republicans, like, they won't. But but like, we're going to make sure that you get the healthcare you need, but we're also going to make sure that we limit abortion. Like, what are you talking about? What are you saying? What are you saying? That was really bad. I can't really think of like one big point where Vance like really like to WALZ. It was just he was able to hit those drum beats in the time that he needed to about Trump is kind of insane, but you know what's really insane? The cost of cookies these days. Walmart is crazy. The dollar store is now the $3 store. That wouldn't happen under Trump. And it's like that's just the stuff that he was was able to do for a good portion of the debate. When he couldn't do that, oh, he was like he was not well. It did not go over well. Oof. What's the deal with airline food? I got too many e-girls on my For You page. Get the hell out of here. Be gone, women. I'm sick of get tits off of my timeline. Get the tits off the timeline. I'm sick of this shit. Be gone, women. Oh, I got Republicans on my timeline right now. With this? Okay, wait. Yeah. Oh, every time Elon puts Republicans on my timeline, I remember how funny MAGA Twitter is. Trump on Theo Vaughn, 5 million views in 20 hours. Kamala on All the Smoke, 200K in 24. Total domination. Trump is totally gonna win the election because he got views on Theo Vaughn, dude. It's so over. Oh, he's cooking. He's cooking. Oh my gosh, he's cooking. Oh, you know it's bad because Elon is now putting Sneeko on my timeline. This is crazy. On my For You page? In my safe space? You do this to me? This is insane. I'm flabbergasted. I used to watch Theo Vaughn. He's trying the best. He kind of I don't know about him. He's kind of weird. He's kind of a peculiar guy. Yeah, the January 6th part, I think that one's gonna have some legs. Independents really don't like that. They don't like that one bit. They don't like that one bit. See, here's the thing, okay? And I think a lot of people are gonna miss this, and it's really important, okay? And this is important to talk about. When you ask normal people, unfortunately, they think that Republicans are usually better at the economy. Is because they usually win after Democrats slowly fix the economy after the last Republican administration broke it, and they can ride that high until their policy destroys the economy, and then Democrat has to get in to fix it again. That's the real cycle. That's the real cycle of humanity. Honestly, right? But on that note, I think Vance did once again. I think Vance did really well in Vance did really well in this one strength that the Trump administration has, which is that people remembering that, like, back when Obama's policies were still in office, that Trump didn't instantly destroy the economy. And when COVID hit, it was like during the last year of his presidency. And so he didn't have to worry about all the problems that his policy and his decisions while in commander in chief affected his time in office. And so that's really beneficial for him there, right? And so he's leveraging that and getting people to be like, oh yeah, Trump he did good things with the economy, even though he only gave money to rich people and then the economy crashed. He's so good at the economy, which is their big strength. And I think they're going to win the question of who is better on the economy by the end of the election. Like, that's how it's going to be, right? I don't really, that wouldn't really surprise me, and I'm actually expecting it simply because of that, right? That's not really surprising. That's not really surprising. But here's the thing, and people are going to talk about that, and that is important, right? And Kamala Harris and WALZ closing that gap is going to be important for them winning, because that gap can't be too big. But the problem is that it would be a rerun of 2012. Sorry, it would be a rerun of 2012, because you know who else won who would be better on the economy? Mitt Romney. Voters saw Romney as being better on the economy than Obama was. But if that was the case, then why in the world did Romney get trounced? Well, the reason was because even though Obama didn't win the question of who would be better on the economy, he did win the question of who cares more about people like me. And there is no amount of like, and there's no amount of like bullshitting and like gish galloping and like circling the barrel or whatever. There's no amount of yapping that you can do to get normal people to believe that Donald Trump cares about them. He simply just doesn't. He just simply doesn't. He does not care. He does not care, and you can't convince people to care. That's over. And so that's what, if Harris wins, that's a big thing that's going to carry them. Closing the gap on who you think would be better on the economy, as long as that gap isn't too big, and as long as you can keep consistently winning the who cares more about people like me, then yeah, he won't have the ability. Then I believe it's his strength in who do you think is going to be good on the economy is not going to be as good as he thinks that it can be, and that's important. I have so many conservatives on I actually thought that I stumbled upon my that I accidentally opened my right-wing account. Holy crap, wait a second. Wait, I don't even see anybody I'm following. Wait, is Elon manipulating the timeline? Wait, I gotta go on to the search on this one. Are other people saying this too? Oh my goodness. Censorship? I can't see anybody that I'm following on my timeline. It's actually just, I'm actually just being filled with Donald Trump tweets. It's kind of crazy. I don't follow Donald Trump. Get this guy away from me. Get this guy away from me. Help me. Chat, help me. Elon's trying to get me to look at Donald Trump tweets. Good Lord, no, please. I'm begging you. You can't do this to me. Yeah, Elon do be chewing on them wires crazy style. Elon's nibbling on those wires crazy style. All right, well, there we go. That's the debate. Okay, I mean, it was interesting. We'll have to see if there are any polls or anything that come out. I haven't really seen much just yet. I saw the Frank Luntz thing, but you know, we will have to see. Quite stressful, TBH. No, I think WALZ got some. I think WALZ got some good stuff in. It just depends on how the campaign's going to use it. Yeah, he did. I mean, I think he did fine. I think he did just fine. I think it's just gonna be like how the Democrats spin Vance's madness through it, and that's gonna be how it go. What? Ah. Yo, Shadow's kind of right. I think they tweeted this wrong, but it was like, who won the debate? And it's literally tied, basically. It's 40, 42, 40, 41. They wrote Harris, but this is supposed to be WALZ. So, yeah, remember when I said I think this is going to be a 50-50 debate? People are just going to be like, eh. Yep, there it is. Wasn't surprised. It seemed exactly like what's gonna happen, which I think is fine. I think that's fine. He just had to not do poorly, and I think he did just. I think he did just fine. I mean, Harris won the debate against Pence a lot harder, but let's just be honest. It's hard to win a debate as the incumbent. It's not very easy. Because your opponent can always be like, we're just gonna do all the good things that you didn't, dumbass. So him coming out as a 50-50, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take it. Vibes are somewhat rancid. Well, that was mostly pretty boring. I thought Vance would come out as the winner, or would outperform the partisan sample in post-debate polls, but then Vance gave a totally cooked answer to January 6th. Yeah, he gave a horrible answer to abortion, because he's gonna get throttled soon with Trump. And he gave a horrible answer with January 6th. That one was that's bad. He tried to wiggle out of healthcare. He really tried to be like, I don't think he's convincing anybody that Donald Trump is the hero of the ACA. I think you have to be actually brain dead to believe that Trump is the hero of ACA. It's kind of insane how he ran on and still runs on the fact that the Affordable Care Act is bad. And it's the Republicans. It's a part of the Republicans' playbook that is bad. Thank you, Humanist Report. I really appreciate you. Hello, Raiders. I'm happy to see you. Thank you so much for the love. Tell Mike that I appreciate everything that he does. Great guy, amazing guy. What we call in the business a perfect angel, I would say. What we call in the business a perfect angel. What happened to your camera? Listen, my camera's off right now because my room a little dirty. I'm gonna be honest with you. My room's a little dirty. So instead of like pushing everything to the side and trying to pretend that my room isn't dirty, I'm just gonna be real with you and just not show you it. I'm gonna just be real with you and I'm just not gonna show you it. Okay? Room, you don't see me because room's dirty. End of story. And my face is a little dry right now. The weather's changing. It's after the hurricane came, it's been a bit of a dry spell. Thank you, Bad Bitter. Hey, hello, Raiders. Crazy Raiderino. Nice to have you guys. What do you all think about the debate? The debate chat? What do you think about the debate chat? I'm happy to have you. Yo, I get that. Yeah, see, like, I don't want any, like, comments in the comment section. Somebody, listen, okay? I'd fucking body slam them. Somebody in the comment section on, like, one of the last videos was like, Shark, try and pick up this lotion. Your face is dry. Bro, I have combination skin. Leave me alone, okay? I'm sorry, some of us... I don't know if, like, you rubbed, like, a bunch of cum on your face when you were a kid to, like, moisturize yourself or something? When you're not doing your homework and just jerking off all day instead, okay, and that's why you're watching my videos. But like, not all of us has perfect skin, okay? I just have to say it. I actually, you know, did anybody here watch Hannah Montana? Remember that theme song? You got the best of both worlds. My mom has oily skin. My dad has dry skin. I have combination skin. I literally have the worst of both worlds. They gave me both of their problems. It was crazy. It's crazy how they did that to me. For no reason. It was like incredibly disrespectful too. Like I didn't do anything. And they just like handed that down to me. They didn't even ask? Nah, they didn't. That's why I need 100 bottles of baby oil. Now, I will tell you... Oh, wait. Did he? That's why I need 100 bottles of baby oil? No, did he? No, did he, right? I will tell you, chat, if you have combo skin, and I have incredibly sensitive skin as well. You remember that guy from SpongeBob who was like, I have glass skin and paper bones? Well, I have glass bones and paper skin or whatever. Or was it glass bones and paper skin? Was it... Chat, which one was it? Was it glass skin and paper bones? Or was it glass bones and paper skin? Anyways, I got the paper skin. I do. It's bad. I have really sensitive skin, but I'll let me put you on some hotness, chat, okay? Get yourself a retinol serum and get the CeraVe moisturizing lotion. If you have super sensitive dry skin like me, I would say give that a try. I would absolutely say give it a try. It's done so much good work for me when I use it correctly and I don't stress out. Because when I stress, I also my skin also breaks out. Yeah, I'm gonna check the DMs. Thank you so much, Alec. I hope you're doing well. Or you oh, you're just chilling. You're just yapping. You're not leaving. Nice to have you. Glass bone, paper skin. Yoicks. Oh yeah, because when he fell down the stairs, all his bones broke and you could hear them jingling around in his sternum. I tried to use your old skincare post when I was shopping for face scrubs. Yeah. Give it a try. Yeah, that's old skincare post was very good. I still stand by it. I still stand by it to this very day. So like for me, I use the CeraVe face cleanser, just like a normal towel as well. Nothing crazy. And then I use and then after that, because like when you're putting on your face care, okay, I learned this from Glass Skin. In Korea they call it glass skin. You know those Korean girls who are those Korean like skincare girls who look like they're 3D modeled. They look like they like popped out of a Blender program and then were 3D printed into the real world. You know what I'm saying? You know those girls? Those girls who like their life is skincare, and every time they're anywhere near a window, like them and a black umbrella is between it. I learned from those girls, okay? There's like a layering process when it comes to skincare, okay? You wash the face, okay? And you want to exfoliate maybe 2, possibly 3 if you need it, times a week, all right? But you cleanse the face, okay? You cleanse and sanitize the face. Very important, okay? And don't do the like, you know, like hot, cold, like don't put really hot water on your skin. Don't do that. Lukewarm, very normal temperature, okay? Don't be mean to your face. Don't do like crazy shit to your face, okay? Very normal, very reasonable, very respectful temperature with a towel. Wash your face. Sanitize with a face wash that also sanitizes. That'd be also great, okay? And you know what goes on next? First thing that you put, chat, the little quiz. What's the first in a skincare routine? What's the first thing you put on after you wash your face? Anybody know? I got any glass skin? I got any glass skin girlies or pepino pepperonis in chat? This is gonna prove if you're a glass skin girly or a pepino pepperoni, okay? I see a lot of people saying moisturizer. I hate to say it, you're a pepino. You do not put on moisturizer first after you just clean your face. No, you put on any medicines, okay? Any medicines, whether they be prescribed to you by a dermatologist or things like retinol, like a toner. It's in lieu. Glass skin, they, themy. Good job. You're the only person who actually said it. Because I'm gonna count toner, because toner counts as like a medicine. You put on your serums first. Yes, you put on your serums. Any medicated face thing, you put that on first, okay? That goes on first. Over everything. Clean face, that goes on. Then, okay, you can put on your moisturizer, if you so choose. After that, then you put on your and then after that you put on your sunscreen, because you should always be wearing sunscreen. Literally always. I put on my bump away before moisturizer. Yes, because anything medicated should go on your face before anything else after you clean it. A clean face always gets should always get the medicated whatever you're putting on first. Chuck, I think I'm a failed woman. That's okay. I mean, you could always try again. Like, you may be failed now, but your life's not over, which means you can succeed later. Think about the positives. What you've figured out is that you know how to succeed for later. So I hope you pop off as the girly you know you can be. Congrats. Congrats. I'll be there. Just remember to renew your sub when you get there, okay? Yo. Undecided Cringer panel. Let's take a look.
Debate. And I actually want to start with overall impressions, guys, because all 7 of you came in undecided. 1 of you said they've made up their mind. Ryan, who are you going to vote for, and what kind of solidified that opinion?
Well, I'm going to be voting for Kamala Harris. You know,
crazy.
One of the stark sort of aspects of that debate that really stuck with me.
Okay. We don't make fun of people's appearances here, and I'm not going to make fun of his appearance, okay? But what I will say, he looks like a guy who's disguised as another guy. You know what I'm saying? He looks like a guy who's in disguise as another guy. Like, he puts on glasses and then puts his hair like across his face. You know what I mean? To pretend he's like another person. Cause I feel like that sometimes too when I wear different glasses than the glasses I'm normally wearing. And my hair's, and I don't do my hair up. I feel like I look like a guy who's disguised as another guy, and that's what, and he's giving me the vibes that I feel sometimes when I look in the mirror. He is also from the 1970s too, which goes kind of crazy. Bro is also from the 1970s. He's kind of cooking. He's kind of cooking. We should bring, white boys should bring this look back. I'm going to be honest with you. White boys should bring this look. I've seen people talk about this too. Like, stop the thing where white people try to be like ethnic. Okay. Can you just like imbibe in your whiteness for like a little bit? Like, can we just be honest with ourselves? I like white people a whole lot better when they're just white people and not trying to be like black or Hispanic. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I enjoy their presence a whole lot better when they're not trying to like put on a little front. You feel me? You know what I'm talking about, chat? I like white people a whole lot better when they're like Jeez Louise, okay? I like Jeez Louise white people way better than I like the white. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? When I was helping move my sister out of her dorm room after she finished college, she actually got her doctorates, okay, in law. So you can call her Dr. Sister Shark, okay? Don't forget it. I was there for her graduation. Went crazy. I'm so proud of little Sister Shark, Dr. Sister Shark. But yeah, when I was moving my little sister out of UK, she we like there were like two movers who she hired to come like move the stuff from the truck, from the apartment into the truck, right? And they were two white boys, very nice lads, honestly. And you know what? As I was helping them move some of the stuff, and as I was like putting some waters in the freezer to make sure that they can drink them later, because they, I wanted to make sure the boys didn't get dehydrated. You got to take care of the guys who do work for you. It's very important. Okay, it's actually really important. So when that happens, okay, so he was like doing the stuff back and forth. They were doing it. I was talking to this one guy. I was like, is this your business? And he was like, nah, I'm working for this guy. We're working for another company. I was like, you guys are good at this. You're doing all the work. Why don't you make the money that you get from the, I was trying to radicalize him, I guess. I was trying to radicalize the mover boy while I was like giving him water. But I was like, yeah, you should own your own company, don't you think? Like you're doing all the, what's your boss doing for you, huh? Like he collects the money as you guys are moving on. You deserve this money, don't you think? And he was like, yeah, I was actually thinking about starting my own with like some other guys. I was like, listen, if you do, I'm always here to support you, okay? but on that note, on the white boy thing, okay, as he was moving like stuff like back and forth, and I was I was like finishing some stuff up with my sister because she didn't have to move like her personal stuff. That stuff it was Big Bro's job to move that shit. He obviously we were talking a bit. He ran back into the apartment straight to me, and I was like, whoa, what's wrong, buddy? And he was like, bro, he was like, yo, he was like, dude, take a look at this, man, look what I found. And I was like, huh? And I saw on his hand was one of those giant ass Atlas moths. Okay, you know those because like around here we get Atlas moths, those massive moths. It seems like the little guy when dawn broke wasn't able to make it into a tree, and so he was just hanging out on the stairs of the dorm of the dorm room. And so he scooped him up, and he scooped him up very respectfully too. You can see that this is a boy who's been in the wilderness a bit. He knew not to touch the moth by the wings because you would destroy his beautiful dust coating. And he brought the big ass moth to me, and he was like, this is so cool. I'm like, that's the coolest moth I've seen in my entire life. I've never seen such a big and beautiful moth, and thank you for showing me this. And we like geeked out about the moth for a little while. And then he was like, this is sick. I love nature. And I'm like, me too, Brody. And he gently put the moth back, and I was like, this is what I need from white people. I hate to be the one to say it, but this is exactly what I need from white people. I like white people a whole lot better when they're acting like that. And I hate white people a whole lot more when they try to act like Aiden Ross. I like white people when they're doing their thing. like their own white people thing. Oh, anyways, back to this guy.
Was when they were talking about January 6th and how Mike Pence certified the election, and they were wondering if JD Vance would.
You betcha white or howdy white. Both are perfectly fine. Both are except no, actually both are perfectly fine, okay? You betcha and howdy white. I like both of those. Those are great. Those are fantastic. That's good. That's a good flavor of white, I think. There's white people and then there's mayo monkeys. So true. Listen, when I say mayo monkey, I don't mean it disrespectfully. Listen, he's white, but that guy is acting like a mayo monkey. So, but it's not, it's different. So true. You're so right. We're being raided. Hello, we're being attacked on all fronts. We're being attacked. We're being assaulted. He wants to gonna love this. Don't attack. Be nice to me.
The election should Trump lose.
What the fuck what is this panel? Listen. This guy also looks like he's disguised as a different guy. What's happening? Is this a panel of fake people? Listen, I usually don't believe the undecided voter panels. I think they're a complete lie, personally. But this, I'm just gonna be, what's going on here?
Lose. And, JD Vance didn't really give us a definitive answer, and
that's true.
I'm disappointed in that fact. And I don't think that I can trust someone, with my vote if they're not going to respect it.
So debate.
Okay, wait. Also, chat. Undecided voters are always conservative. True and real. Just like those supposed moderate voters. They always seem to be really conservative. It's weird how that works out, right? We're being raided. Hello, raid? We're being raided by white people. A white person attack. A white boy barrage. Is that happening to us right now? Are you sure? This can't be real. White guy Vosh raid. Yo. Ew. Well, I'm happy to have you, stinkers. Okay, once you get in here, okay, for one, you have to tell me if you're okay, because I know a lot of you all got bipped by the hurricane, and or your family members did. So tell me if you're okay. I hope you're okay. I'll keep if you've experienced any sadness in your life, I'll have you in my prayers. Okay, I hope you're all right. And if you have any GoFundMes that need to get boosted, I'm very happy to boost any GoFundMes. I think I'd like to do a fundraiser as well sometime soon if possible. So please make sure to take care of yourselves. And I hope you all enjoyed the debate. I had the idea that the debate was going to be like a wash. And in that sense, I think that what I meant is that I think the polls are going to come out as like a 50-50 who won. And so far it seems like that's true. We saw one poll, the CBS poll from debate watchers. It came out as basically 50-50. It was 42-41 in Vance's favor, which is exactly what I was expecting. Bad news shark, I died. Okay, but make sure you vote at least, okay? make sure you sign your ballot for Kamala Harris. But that just because you're dead doesn't mean you can't do that. Remember, we stole 2024. Sorry, we stole 2020 and we can steal 2024 too. All it takes is hard work and dedication by you, all of you, to cheat and steal. And we can cheat and steal this election as well. We can do it. We can do it. You know you're religious? Thank you, Pookie. Love you, Pookich. Let me on the fundraiser. Oh yeah. But yeah, hope you all are doing well. Also, Raiders. What do you guys think of the debate? What did you guys think of the debate? Okay. 1, WALZ blowout. 2, 3, Vance blowout. Tell me how you feel. What the hell is happening on Twitter? What? Okay, chat. Okay, wait. Pause. Wait. Okay, wait. We'll get this done first. Okay. Let's get this done first. But Tim won, but not resoundingly. I think on like the, like if we lived in a real country, Tim won. But we live in a post-Trump America. So I think it's a split, if not Vance leaning split, personally. You can't stop the vote, Shark. Good. I'll be filing 100,000 more fraudulent ballots. I don't want the vote to stop. Go on, keep counting. More votes are gonna keep coming, dumbass. Go on, keep counting. It's on high spin alert, really. Oh, okay, we'll see. But yeah, this just popped up on my For You page. And to prove it, like, here's my For You page. This is insane. Like neo-Nazi propaganda is popping up on my For You page now, randomly as well. Like, the people who I followed have not changed at all. Like not the slightest, but randomly after the debate, my timeline is now completely filled with conservative commentators and like right-wing Nazi posters. I have no clue why. Also, that had 11,000 likes on it. Like, Elon, I wonder why companies don't want to advertise here anymore. I love Elon copers these days who originally were like, Elon's gonna buy this company and absolutely send it to the moon because his incredible godlike bit. If God was a CEO, he'd be Elon Musk. So that's how I know that he's gonna take Twitter to the freaking moon, bro. And I'm here for the right. I'm here for the right. So that's why I'm for him buying this shit. And then obviously it went into the tubes because he's actually a dumbass and insane. He's genuinely a crazy person, right? He's like actually a fucking crazy person. But wait, I need to please get this shit away from me, please. I'm begging. My For You page is insane right now, chat. I'm sorry. But now that obviously Twitter has just obliterated when it comes to its valuation, now they're like, have you guys seen this before? The spin as in some things are worth more than money, like free speech. Elon didn't buy Twitter to make money. He bought it to save America, save free speech, save the First Amendment. That's why he bought Twitter. You think everything's about money, don't you? Typical elitist liberal. The spin is insane.
And I actually want to start with overall impressions, guys, because all 7 of you came in
Oh, my bad. We saw this. We saw this shit already. Oh, there was also this. This is MSNBC, isn't it? Or NBC. NBC News just polled their focus group of 6 undecided voters in Pennsylvania on who won the debate. 5 out of 6 said WALZ won the debate. Yeah, this is what I was so yeah. I don't think it's gonna be like if this is like indicative of like some other polls that come out, I'd be flabbergasted. And I think I'd be doubled over laughing if like conservatives after this debate are, because they're riding high right now. There are conservatives right now saying that Vance had the best debate in vice presidential debate history. And I saw some of them saying that Vance actually won the presidency for Donald Trump in this debate, which is like remarkable cope. But you know, we'll let them do their thing for now. I just want to watch. If more polls come out like this, and we see in like polling aggregates that people that it's, I don't know, it's like 60-40 WALZ won, I'd be inconsolable. My ass would be, you would have thought that I just got hit with the goddamn Joker laughing gas or something, man. It was, I wouldn't be able to speak. I couldn't speak. It'd be crazy. I've got so much Nazism on my timeline, chat. What the fuck? Now Eliza Schaefer, the guy who sexually assaulted 2 women at the Blaze, is also a neo-Nazi and who's racist, is now posting like anti-Semitic drivel on my timeline. 60,000 likes. I've actually never raw had Eliza Schaefer on my timeline ever. But randomly right now after the debate, like conservative viral tweets are like popping up on my timeline, and I actually haven't seen a single tweet from like the normal people that I follow yet. What's happening? I'm actually trying to find more stuff to pull up. I actually can't. I can't find it. Oh yeah, chat. Remember when I said that that Vance's answer on guns is not gonna play well? Yeah, it seems like
one of you said
seems like that was true. Take a look at this.
Locks on our doors. Here, I thought was interesting was, Rachel, what you were just talking about when J.D. Vance said one of the ways ultimately that we can stop gun violence in this country is by having better locks on our doors. Did anybody react? You're laughing back here. No, you. What's your name?
Nora.
What'd you think when you heard J.D. Vance talk about that? Jimena was talking about how because of what happened at one of your neighboring schools here, it's an issue that rings close to home.
I thought it was ridiculous. I mean, the issue is guns. The issue is not better locks on doors.
Actually, Rachel, he said the solution was to put bulletproof windows on schools, even though kids aren't being shot in school shootings aren't done from the outside. The shooter goes into the school to shoot the kids. So the only thing that the bulletproof windows would do would be to like make a hermetically sealed American-made child-killing chamber sponsored by Donald Trump. So now like the cops couldn't shoot in at the shooter if that was happening. The shooter would actually have like a child-killing Chuck E. Cheese. Like a completely safe like killing floor for kids, because then the cops he could like be dancing with like children's dead bodies in the window and the cops wouldn't be able to shoot him because the fucking windows would be bulletproof. It's okay, children are born bulletproof. The solution. Wait, I'm sorry. My thing was, it was really funny how they got into school shootings, and he was like, well, mental illness is a really big issue. And they asked like, should like the parents of like these child shooters be put in jail? And he was like, maybe we could look at that. My dude is more open to banning parents than banning guns. It's as Rachel said, it's ridiculous. It really do be ridiculous. I'm going to be honest. And also Donald Trump stopped watching the debate halfway through. He started tweeting about something completely differently. This shit is so funny, dude. Oh, man. Chat, remember a little while ago, I uploaded a video. It was a second assassin has come for Trump and nobody cares. This is why. Voters blame extreme rhetoric for contributing to Trump's assassination. Okay. They blame, like, these polls have come out, and a lot of them have even said that his own extreme rhetoric is what led to the assassination attempt on his own life. Harvard Harris, a while ago, after the first assassination attempt, it was like 50, I think it was like 54. So a majority of people said that the number one thing that led to Donald Trump getting shot at was Trump's own rhetoric. It's just so funny. Oh my gosh, wait a second. Wait, the issue of gun violence came up and J.D. Vance didn't even say, my running mate Donald Trump took a bullet for our country. Oh my gosh, he actually forgot. They don't even care anymore. Dude, Donald Trump had possibly 3. I'm gonna count 3 assassination attempts personally, because there was the first guy, the guy wearing the Demo Ranch shirt who grazed him, and then there was like that weirdo who called him retarded on Twitter, and who was a Trump, who was like a Obama, Hillary, Trump, like Vivek Ramaswamy, Tulsi Gabbard, Joe Biden, Nikki Haley fan, and supporter and voter as well. He was hiding in the bush trying to shoot him, and then like this story completely went like under the radar. But there was a car bomb found at one of Trump's rallies. Actually, there was a guy actually who had a car bomb there, who was presumably they think was like trying to drive the car into the rally and like detonate it. They like got him and stopped. So possibly there was a 3rd assassination attempt on Trump, and nobody cares because he is like the definition of the boy who cries wolf. He has been since the very second he strolled down that gold escalator, man. Oh, chat. We have this chat. We have the CNN. We have the official CNN vice presidential debate snap poll. You want to guess what it says? Chat, guess. If you've seen it, don't guess. I will beat you. I will find you. I'll tell you that I don't want to do this, and then I'll snap your bones. So just take a guess what it says. Just guess. Oh, Tim won? He didn't actually. He lost. Chat? Oh, worry, it's over. Chat, it's over. It's done. We're finished. Chat, JD Vance actually did. They were right. JD Vance did actually win the presidency for Donald Trump tonight. Chat? I'm lying. I'm just trying to give you anxiety. It was a 50-50 as we said. It was a 50-50 as I expected, actually. As we expected. 51-49. What do you have to scare? It could be, you don't think it's fun sometimes? You don't think it's fun to scare people every now and again? Look at the shrug. Yep. So technically a tie. It is a statistical tie. Margin of error 5.3. This is within the margin of error. But yeah, this is that there it is. That is the most tie of tie I have ever seen in my entire life. It is very difficult. It is very difficult to get much closer than that. It is not easy to get much closer than that. So yeah, there's your CNN instant snap poll. Okay, well, there we go. The definition of a wash. I'll take it. I think that's pretty good. Because people were not expecting a whole lot from WALZ. I think he got some really good hits in. I don't think he really could have taken Vance to town there. I think he was too defensive. I really think if he was more offensive while keeping the like we care about people thing, if he was a little bit more like he was during the Veep stakes, not all the way. I think he should be less aggressive than he was during the Veep stakes in his like national interviews. But I think he should have had a little bit more bite to him personally. Wait a second, is this true? Well, I'm sorry, this is the funniest shit I've seen in my entire life. Wait, chat. WALZ's favorability is gonna drop like a rock post-debate. Tim WALZ, favorability goes from 52 to 60. this guy. Oh, it's so good. Oh, I like this guy. They're like, hey, this guy's pretty cool. Oh, this goes crazy. It did seem like they didn't get to they didn't get to Harris when the Dem strategists tried to get them to stop saying weird, but it seems like they did convince WALZ. His heart is too kind. He didn't call him weird on stage once, and he definitely should have. Now, there is one L to this, okay, chat? And that is the fact that Vance's approval rating did go up as well. He was, I think, like at 40% approval, and now he's at 49 post-debate at the moment. So his approval did jump. So he's now like, you know, hovering around 50% in that one poll. As I thought, like he was able to come off as the like him and WALZ like back and forth, the like him being like, oh, I'm sorry that happened to you, well thank you, brother. That was obviously going to get him to get likes. It's because people are like, oh yeah, this is what normal politics is like. The guy who wants to invade Mexico and the guy who wants to give my kids free lunch. I'm so happy that those two people are able to be so kind and respectful on the debate stage. I love both of them. That's just politics, chat. So I wasn't really surprised about that. So yeah, that's how it be. You know what's really funny is that Garrett Herron, who he works with VoteHub .us. That's the polling aggregate that you see me use a decent amount on stream. He posted this and I thought it was really interesting. So the CNN snap poll debate winner, it was Vance +2, right? So Vance did win +2, okay? So if you look back in time, so in 2008, Biden won these are VP debate performances, right? 2008, Biden won by 15. In 2012, Tim Ryan actually beat Biden by 4 points. In 2016, Pence beat, what the hell is that guy's name? I even forgot his name. He's so much of a loser. His name literally, and he's running for election this year. His name literally vanished from my psyche. That's crazy. Kane? Tim Kaine? Is that his name? Wait a second. Yeah, Kane. Yeah, Kane. Yeah, Pence beat Kane by 6, actually. Harris beat Pence by 21. And Vance only beat WALZ by 2. So when it comes to like midterm VP debate performances, Tim WALZ did pretty well. to come out like in comparison since 2008, WALZ has put forward the best. WALZ put forward the absolute best incumbent party VP debate performance ever. So when it comes down to like whether or not WALZ did okay, if you compare it to every other VP debate that happened, as running for the incumbent party, WALZ did really well. Actually, he did better than Biden in 2012. That's saying a lot, actually. Wow, he actually, okay. Well, I thought I don't know. I thought he'd come out with like a couple more, you know, bruises, but like, if that's what it is, this isn't chat. This is a good night. This is a pretty good night, chat. He come off like a bean counter. Does that have to relate to his the things that he said about women, or like the guy who's happy to fire people? Oh, okay, not about women. WALZ came off like a person who, when you ask how they're doing, when he asks how you're doing, he actually means it. Yeah. Vance is very artificial. He's very fake. He's just a very fake person. I think that comes off, like, especially like his past claims about Trump, and now he's his running mate. You can't call someone Hitler and then be their bestie. Like, you can't do that. You can't turn that around and make me think that you're anything but insane, dog. You can't do it. You can't do it. You can't do it. I'm sorry. You can't do it. He really is the definition of a two-faced bitch. I think people pick up that bullshit. You can't. It's because if he was just like critical of Trump, okay, Hitler, heroin, leads Americans astray, like demon, like you fake Christian. These are not small claims, dude. He called him Hitler. He called him Hitler. I hate that guy. He's Hitler. Me and Bestie. Okay, sure. Okay, buddy. Honestly, I think if WALZ kept repeating things that, I think if WALZ at the beginning of every answer just quoted just quoted something that Vance said about Trump in the past, I think that would have gone so crazy. He just comes up with a list and he just starts rattling them off. Hitler, heroin, cringe, fat, old, ugly. Oh man. But all right. So, I think that's it, chat, huh? Also, I'm feeling a whole lot better. I was feeling so poorly. I don't know, these last couple of months I just really haven't been feeling too well. I'm not really sure what's going on, but my like, I don't know. I've just been feeling really heavy. It's just been hard to I don't want to ruin the mood. It's just been hard to like, I don't know, it's been hard to just be, you know? Has that ever happened to you, chat? You ever find it just hard to be? That's how I've been feeling recently. Not sure why, but hopefully I feel better soon. Because I'd like to be here for you more. I was hoping to stream a little earlier, but once again, hurricane. And we've had rolling blackouts here for a while, and internet has been super spotty. Internet has been big spotty, right, doll? The internet has been pretty spotty. Yeah, the internet's been pretty bad for the last couple of days. It's been really bad, yeah. I'm describing exactly what I'm going through. Yeah, it's just kind of hard to exist. It's kind of hard to live, right? I really don't know what it is. But I don't know. It's not sure. But don't pity me. I want you all to take care of yourselves. And I want to stay here for you. So I'll make sure I keep doing that. Thank you so much, Oxpecker, for the tier 1. Join the frenzy and being incredibly pog. As a white anarcho rapper with gender dysphoria, I get way less flack at open mics if I'm visibly emo, grunge, or flamboyant AF. Okay, I'll make sure to keep that in mind. Wait, you go to like open mic nights? You like are you singing, or are you like are you telling jokes or something? That you go to your local open mic night bar and you just like pick up the microphone. Not a big fan of the government. 30. I'm not a big fan of the government. 30. And you just, that's just like your 5-minute set. Probably goes crazy too. Rapping probably. Not a big fan of government. I feel you mean, Shark. I'm so glad you're with me, Pookie. I'm so glad. I'm in Georgia. Somehow Haleen missed. Well, congrats. Cause it was nasty. Yo, doll, like it looked like we're like 500 miles inland, and it looked like the sky was, it looked like God himself was coming down to like slap me upside the head. It was bad. It looked like we were receiving biblical punishment. It was like dark in the middle of the day. The clouds were huge and really low to the ground and moving incredibly quickly. It was raining for like 5 days straight as well. It was horrible. Jesus cried. You know why Jesus cried? He saw Kamala Harris's campaign schedule. Take a look at remember, Chad, what I said at the beginning of the stream for some of you who are here? Take a look at this. Kamala for this week on the campaign trail. This is from the 28th. This was Trump's campaign stop schedule, and this was Harris's. What is she doing? Has she contracted Clintonitis? She better pick this shit up, okay? This is just not okay. This is not okay. Hasn't she been sick? Is she? Has she? Like, I know the UN happened during this week. Like, yeah, I know the UN happened. Okay, sure. Okay, you have to do some of that stuff. But like, I mean, what's going on? This is genuinely indefensible. Since she got into the race, before last week, she was beating Trump in Pennsylvania campaign stops by 7. This week, now they're tied. And I think he might actually be winning now, because I think he went to Pennsylvania today again. So yeah, I think he actually might be winning right now. So somehow Harris has contracted Clintonitis and is no longer and is being beat in campaign stops by a elderly, demented, racist, orange, obese weirdo. And it's just I don't know. It's just weird. It should not be the case. Simply should not be. She should be doing like 3 rallies a day, personally. I don't know. Hopefully after this week she picks it up. She had a pretty good pace, right? I think she should be doing even more than 1 a day. I really think she should be doing more than 1 a day for like just about the remainder of the campaign season. There's not much more to do. The libs told her not to win too hard. It is crunch time now, yes. It is time to win. And I do not want her to throw the election. There's no reason to do that. Please don't, actually. Please don't throw the election. I would like you to not. But we can take a look at Vote Hub. Let's take a look at some of the polls. You want to take a quick look at, you want to be a poll monkey real quick, chat? You want to be a poll piggy? Who up being a little poll piggy? So let's take a look at Vote Hub. What's Vote Hub got for us? Right now, national average is 3.1, and the time adjusted, it's 2.6. But in the Electoral College bias, which is how biased the Electoral College is for Republicans, is that it goes down from basically 2 points down to 1.5 points, meaning it's easier for Kamala Harris to win the election in the time adjusted than in the recent polls, but obviously still weighted towards Republicans here. In the time adjusted, we are looking at Kamala Harris at 49%, near 50. The really important states, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, all within 1 point. I don't really care about Nevada. I know Nevada's higher than this for Kamala Harris. It's just Nevada polls recently. Well, actually, Nevada polls have always been underestimating Democrats, but But if she's like this, then she'll be winning Nevada. It's not an issue. I don't worry about that much. But there is like an upward trend here, I will say. There's an upward trend here, but the margin has gone down a bit. It seems like she has, I don't want to say stalled, but it seems like she has plateaued for the last, like couple days, like week or something here. But once again, something that's really funny is that there's been so many garbage dookie ass, like, okay, chat, okay, pause the music, because this is very important for you to remember for the rest of this election cycle and actually for elections in the future. There are two types of firms who do polling, okay? There's two types of firms that do election polling, okay? Do you know what those two are? There are pollsters and there are lowsters. Two types of people, and you being able to figure out which one's which is going to be very important for how you view elections in the future. Because there are so many lowsters out these days, you need to be able to see and sort out who's who. So on RCP, I posted it earlier today. It's really funny. I made a tweet. I was like, RCP is just having fun with it now, and they really are. Take a look at this. Okay, this is their like status change for This is their status change for Pennsylvania in their like no toss-up map, okay? On the 13th, it changes from GOP to Dem. 16th, Dem to GOP. 18th, GOP to Dem. 29th, Dem to GOP. And you may be wondering, how in the world is Pennsylvania flip-flopping this much so close? Okay? How is this even possible? This is because of lowsters, all right? It's because of lowsters like Patriot Polling and Trafalgar and Rasmussen and Remington, lowsters. Okay, SoCal Polling, we like to call lowcal polling here. They're lowsters. They are Republican-backed, hardcore, hard-right, quote-unquote pollsters who have just been dropping lows like crazy. So what happens is the big pollsters, the one that you know of, like the name brand ones who've been doing this shit for like 50 years, those guys drop polls, and then Kamala Harris retakes Pennsylvania. Then in the interim, like 2 to 3 weeks where they're like letting their polls simmer, the lowsters drop like a poll once every like 3 days. Okay. And then because of that, and obviously all of them come out with like pretty good Trump W's. And so obviously in the RCP average, it shifts back to Trump. And then the normal pollsters drop, and then the lowsters polls get like pushed down, and then Kamala takes back Pennsylvania. It's actually really funny. Pronounces Trafalgar. Damn, he doesn't watch One Piece. Is Trafalgar in One Piece? I know some people say Trafalgar, but my ass is saying Trafalgar. Trafalgar Law? Cringe. Yes, here I sent this post to Creative Commons. Oh, okay. Wait a second. That goes crazy. I'll make sure to watch this. I'm gonna leave it a like. I'm gonna leave it a like. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. I'm gonna watch that later. I'm always here to support small artists. Love you, Pookie. Very parasocially. Schedule probably had to be cut because of the hurricane. Maybe, but I don't know. She should definitely pick it up. She should pick up the pace. She should definitely pick up the pace. So hopefully she does that. But outside of that, I think she's in the position to win. I've been following some people, like, everybody's focused on Pennsylvania. I really think that she's not in a lock-in to win Pennsylvania, not at all. But I think she's going to be posting a decent performance in Pennsylvania from everything that I've seen, from the demographic trends that we've seen coming out of the polling. Kamala Harris is hitting a lot of the markers she needs to be able to win. It's just whether or not that can be locked up and she can start posting more 50s for me to confidently say, be more confident in saying that I think Kamala Harris has a like really good shot of winning Pennsylvania. I think she's favored to win Pennsylvania right now, but it's going to take us a little bit more time for me to see if she's posting better numbers soon. For me to confidently say that I think she'll win, because like because for me personally, I don't really care about the spread. I really care about the numbers that the vote share in the polls that the candidates are hitting. And Kamala Harris is starting to hit 50s way more often, just not in Pennsylvania as much compared to Wisconsin and Michigan, which makes me feel like it is true that Pennsylvania this election cycle seems to be the right to the right of the Great Lakes on fort. But you know, that's just how it is. But she's starting to hit way more 50s than she was like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, 2 months ago, which shows that it's moving in a good direction, which means the Democratic majority in Pennsylvania seems to still be there that can provide Democratic wins. It seems like that's possible. So I mean, you know, we're just gonna have to keep an eye on it, partner. But yeah, I think that's it for me tonight. I need to be able to get a good night's rest, or else I'll like be demolished. For anybody who became a member on YouTube, congratulations, you can watch our Springfield, Ohio. They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the pets of the people that live there. Segment that we did on how Donald Trump's racism sent a lynch mob into Springfield, Ohio. It's where we go over basically everything that happened in Springfield, Ohio, how it started, how the rumor started. I go through all of the big rumors and claims and racist epithets being thrown at Haitians there. Some things I know for a fact you haven't seen that'll be very interesting. And if it ever comes up, especially since Vance decided to open the segment, open that wound back up again because he couldn't help by scratching the itch of racism against Haitians, it's going to be still quite timely and quite poignant. And if you need to see what horrible things conservatives are saying about Haitians and about even people whose children have died, I know you'll appreciate that segment. It is up for members right now on the YouTube channel. You can become a member for literally $2 a month. But that'll be uploaded tomorrow for the rest of the freeloaders. Love you all very parasocially. It seems like at the end of the day, through all of the moaning from conservatives about how this was probably the best debate in the history of debates, statistically, it seems like it was actually the worst debate performance from a challenger VP to a sitting presidential party in the last like 16 years, which I can tell you is hilarious. Okay, good job, WALZ. Nice work. And he still actually has a higher approval rating than JD Vance, and his approval rating actually hit 60 in the CNN poll. Very, very funny. The definition of a mid debate. Even Trump fell asleep through it. He's not even truthing anymore. Crazy. You know what the truth is? They're cringe. And I'll see you all soon. Take care, everyone. Oh wait, you know what? Before we leave, should we raid someone? Should we attack someone? Should we lay upon their flesh a raid? And who shall it be? Who shall it be? Who shall get their streamer flesh torn asunder by a raid? What do you guys think, chat? Barb? Who the hell is that? Or am I racist or something? We should raid Jack. I haven't raided Jack in a while. You're so right. You're so right, Pookage. Let me Spread the love a little bit. Let me spread the love just a little bit. Let me spread the love crazy style. That's the way I like to do it. That's the way we like to do it here. Wait, is Jack streaming? Is she streaming? Is she streaming? Yo, what about Doodleburb? We haven't rated Burb in so long. Okay, wait. Let's do Doodleburb. Start raid. Thank you all for watching, chat. I appreciate you. And I hope to have you back for another meme stream. Have a good one. Oh, you know, this is a decent ending song. I'll take it. See you later, everyone. Join the raid.